May the 2nd, 2018 to order at 6:40 PM. Ta-da! We're out. Nothing on the big board tonight, huh?
If they hit the remote on
The Jumbotron is not working, folks. Sorry.
Why not? You know anything about it?
I do not, but
No.
the microphone is on, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen in Radio Land. First order of business, we're going to do the minutes of March 14th. That's the first one I picked up.
Well, here we
Ta-da!
are.
You just have to turn on the TV.
Oh, please.
That's not our job, right?
It's not my TV.
We didn't even know it was on or off.
I can't do it. I don't own a TV.
That's true.
You don't
I really can't. I mean,
There,
my
you
daughter.
feel better? You can see yourself.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Are we officially
Vote on that.
in session?
I believe you
Oh,
called
yeah,
the
I
meeting
called
to
the
order.
meeting to order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which are we doing, March 7th?
Well, let's do March 7th, since that's the one before the March the 14th. All right. So everybody who eagerly awaited the beginning of this meeting is now sitting here watching us read. Sorry, folks, that's the nature of the job.
I don't have a March 7th one. No, now I have.
Your sense finds an extra.
I had two March 14th.
No, I think I need one of those.
You what?
You owe
So I
him.
need one of those.
I guess.
Tell him to go fish.
I don't need one of those?
I
Give
do.
him one.
Oh, you
Yeah.
need one. There you go. All right.
We still haven't done the gravel report yet.
You mean the annual one?
The annual one, I just haven't had a chance to do it.
Okay.
I'll get to that. It's due April 15th, so we're a little bit late.
That's okay. We were last year too.
No, we were on time last
Last year we were on time.
Well, there's only the Marinelli change, right? No, we'll do
No,
that.
let's
We'll do
read
that.
the mi-
Yeah. Not now.
For March 7th, 2018, any corrections, additions, deletions you may like to make?
Yeah, just that there's no E in my last name.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
If you stop making seconds, we don't have to write it down.
I'm sorry?
I said if you stop seconding motions, we don't have to write it.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
There's a solution to everything.
This was like a 2.5-hour meeting. Do we, to what extent should we describe what we're discussing?
Under law, we do not have to have any more detail than what we have here. And I would say that, as far as I'm concerned, this is sufficient for the record because we have the video representation on YouTube. So we can go into as much detail or as little as we would like.
Well, does the video hold up as appropriate description of what?
It makes no, I don't know that answer, but
All right.
this
This
is
does,
sufficient.
this does.
This does.
All right.
Well, I use the video to write these. That's why the timestamps are in, because if people want to go back and then watch that session.
Oh, they
then
can
That's why I
cut
do
right
the-
to it. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that's why I do the timestamps. I know it's annoying
No, it's not
making
annoying.
notes and the-
Sounds good.
Anyone else gonna make a motion to accept March 7th?
Is there a
I'll
second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
Abstain.
Weren't you there?
Mm.
Oh,
Just approved, not even a correction. Good job, Patty.
Thank you, getting better. The year in.
5/2/18.
well, it helps to have a little time to do them.
I don't have to make a trip to see you tomorrow, because you're here.
Now, what are we doing, March 14th?
5/14.
You weren't there.
Oh, I wasn't there. This was the big meeting we had,
Yeah.
that I got sick at. Okay.
One more thing, when you file these meeting minutes, you really should make an effort to put either the attachments or a list of attachments. For instance, John Hume's report.
Oh, it should be on
I don't know, but
Well, that
I'm
wouldn't-
using that as an example.
That would be okay to do, but once again, it's not a requirement, but it would, in this case, wouldn't be a bad idea. But as long as we capture the essence of whatever was discussed, that's the requirement. But I like
Alright.
that idea of attaching any of the present,
Short of that,
attachments. Yeah.
short of that, if there is something that's like a candidate for an attachment, but we don't attach it, then it should be described by date and author or something, so that we can go back and find it. Presumably in the file, you know?
But I assume we do have a PDF of that report that we can include when I post it to the website,
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
right?
It's on the website.
Oh, it is already, so I
Yeah.
can link
Oh,
to it.
all right, then see posting or something, but what I'm trying to do is capture
Get a reference.
the reference documents
Okay.
somehow, either identify them really well or
Right.
include them. It's only a letter or something, you can just include them.
March 14, 2018. Any corrections, additions, deletions? Anybody sees?
Did we also post the bylaws somewhere, or,
No,
all right, they'll be in the articles
they'll
or
be
in
in the
the
articles.
town
But
meeting.
then, at this point, we were still working,
Well, we had pushed them to the select board, I think.
yeah. I make a motion, we accept.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. 11
Second.
hands.
Two.
Oh, you missed it too? Okay. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
So vote.
And 3 is all we need to approve?
Yep, all we need is a quorum.
Good. Good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Two down. April 17th.
That was the meeting for the, special permit for the kennel,
Yeah, that would have been in the conference room in the library.
right? Pretty short and sweet.
In fact, has everybody signed that off? Didn't we have to do that?
We're waiting for you.
No. Oh, Patty, I signed that, didn't I?
Yeah, you
Came over.
did, this was
Fine.
before, cause I,
Four.
yeah.
You were the last one.
I don't have a copy of the 17th.
It's okay, you weren't there.
I wasn't? I wasn't there on the 23rd.
No, this was that afternoon
This
meeting.
says you weren't there.
You weren't there.
Members not attending. Did you go over to the library basement?
Why did mine say 23rd?
Well, that's the next
Well,
one.
that's because you're on the next one.
Is the minutes.
I don't have the 23rd now either.
You don't?
You weren't attending either.
Well, we're talking about the 17th, however.
We're talking about the 17th, do you have it?
I do now. And now Craig does.
Do you have the 7?
And I
Yeah,
have
there
the
was the
23rd.
special meeting I called to deliberate on the count.
Okay.
You were at that one, right,
That's
Frank?
what,
Yeah. You were there.
Yeah, you
For-
were at the kennel.
For
Yeah,
kennel,
Yeah,
yeah.
you came in.
right.
Has that been, is that gone?
It's an appeal, I mean, it's in the town clerk, the 20 days.
It's
I don't
in
think-
I
appeal
just sent the
period.
letter out yesterday, so the clock was started yesterday, and
okay.
then all the mail, they were all put in the mail last night.
Everybody's
make a-
been notified.
Make a motion, we accept April 17th minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? So moved. Can I have yours and I'll sign? Can I have one to sign?
On the computer.
April 23.
I changed everyone's, there's a mistake on the time. We started, it was posted for 4:30. We started at 4:34.
Any corrections, additions, or deletions to April 23?
Make the motion we accept at, with the change of the time at the top there, 4:30.
What did we do with these? Did we make a motion to send them on to the town so that they could send them to the lawyer?
You made a motion to
Right.
approve the changes to Articles 11 and 12 for the proposed town meeting warrant. We voted on
And
that.
that's okay?
Yep.
All right.
That's
And,
what we did. Yep.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? So vote.
I'm staying.
Whizzing right along.
I have some correspondence. Hello.
Hey, Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty,
Don't
so.
forget that hat. Don't forget that hat.
Okay.
And then the
What's
letter
the hat
from,
say?
Rich
Is it a
about
good one?
the Sulphur
No, it
Hill.
just says Greenland Farm.
Just copied you
Oh.
guys on it, so
Unless these names obliterated by Commodore.
Huh?
that's the,
Nah, I didn't
Sulphur
check it.
Road lot that,
Yeah.
Rich said is not buildable, it's just a letter to the
Okay.
Alright, so correspondence, we have a decision from the Gardner Zoning Board of Appeals, a meeting notice for the hearings 2nd of February, 1st of April, 2nd of January, 2nd of April. We've missed them all. From Town of Rutland, filing of a decision with the town clerk for application of Michael and Justine Votruba, Julian and Karen Votruba, and J&K Ventures LLC to create 3 estate lots located at 68B Campbell Street.
Why do we have that?
Well, under the law, everybody who has a public hearing needs to notify surrounding towns. And the MRPC and what else, Patty? Something like so, some other Department of Housing or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a variety of things we have to notify.
And we do.
We do, yeah.
Mostly zoning stuff.
Another notice from Rutland for the application of James Susi Contracting to create an estate lot at 314 Main Street. And that was approved. So those 3. And now a notice of public hearing in Princeton for May the 2nd, tonight. And that is for the adoption of section 22 of the zoning bylaws. If anybody'd like to go to Princeton, you've gotta get going, cause you're gonna be late. Anyways, that's the most we have so far, I have also received one other notice of correspondence, which I will read. Dated April 24, 2018, to the Hubbardston Planning Board, reference to solar facility 145 Old Westminster Road. Planning Board members, Borrego Solar is hereby requesting withdrawal of our application for site plan review and special permit regarding the 145 Old Westminster Road project without prejudice. At such time, the complications of our interconnection application and utility impact study can be resolved, and we reserve the right to reapply. Oh, at such time, I'm sorry. We also ask the board's consideration of waiving reapplications fees at that time, as discussed at the April 4th planning board meeting. Sincerely, Dean Smith, P.E., Civil Engineer, for Borrego Inc. Borrego Solar. So, we need a motion to approve the request to withdraw the site plan review and special permit application for 145 Old Westminster Road without prejudice.
Make such a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We talked about that at the previous meeting, and I asked them that if they weren't gonna be able to bring to the board in July a better presentation to do this, and they have so done it. Bill?
You advertised 147 for a 7:30 public hearing, did you not?
Today?
Yeah.
Yep. 145.
Should not have.
It's
It's
147
on your-
Williamsville Road and it's 145 Old Westminster.
I just mean it's on your agenda.
Yeah.
So you're taking the
It was
withdrawal
amended
out
May 1st by you.
outside of the advertised public meeting, which you really shouldn't be doing.
I stuck it on there.
That,
and-
that was a mistake. That's an error.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. I did not even see that.
I put it on there because I don't wanna violate, because we have the public hearing.
We've already closed the public hearing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's no public hearing involved in that. And that's simply an error on the agenda. Thank you, Bill.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No, we continue that hearing on 145 Old Westminster Road to July 4th, 5th, 6th, first week of July. So that's not a big deal, just an error in posting. But, so we call for the vote on the withdrawal of the permit without prejudice on 145 Old Westminster Road. All in favor?
Could I just ask a question? Isn't there a second part to it?
That's the second question I'll ask.
Okay.
Okay?
I was gonna make a friendly amendment and just
Well,
kill
we
them
can do
off.
it all at once,
Kill them
but-
off once.
All right. Would anybody like to also amend that motion so that we can waive the reapplication fees at such time that they do bring back an application?
If they bring it back.
If they,
And if the fees don't change, if they've changed, then they should up the delta. All right, I don't know. Too
let's not worry
complicated.
about it.
Too complicated,
Yeah.
let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
I make a friendly amendment to the.
Well, it hasn't been,
Oh,
it hasn't been voted on, so we don't need to do that, but we can just make one motion to
I make,
accept their permit withdrawal without prejudice and vote to waive any of the reapplication fees at the time they should reapply.
make the motion.
All in favor? I'm sorry, second?
Second.
Kendall.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? So voted. Wonderful. So that motion's approved. Here we go.
We have these two, the Begley letters that went out.
There's no meeting tonight on conservation.
Oh, okay, 'cause they called me and they told me to be there at 7.
I can't,
Well, you can go check.
She's
I know
emailed
they
this
did.
to
Maybe
everyone.
next door.
yeah, it is, but
It's canceled on the website.
there's no
Oh.
meeting tonight.
Why did this was a CC, so that's,
Okay, see
Sorry.
you.
You're welcome.
Patty sent that
I'll go
around to
check if I
everyone.
have time.
They-
It is canceled on the website.
That's just the
Yeah,
original.
I
it's
understood.
just on Hubbardston, all right,
Okay.
but it's
This
addressed
isn't
to the
the
board of
14th.
selectmen.
Yeah, so we're just copied on it, that's the copy.
I think Kelly just forgot to make the call. I think Kelly just forgot to call her yesterday.
I gotta
Okay.
get it.
Statement and,
Seeing you out on the roads, patching and doing all sorts of fun stuff.
this new, this just come in too?
Which one is that?
The Vigo
You
property?
guys replacing the culvert over at that pond on South Road?
Oh, newest.
Oh, this is from,
Oh, Newest
From
Spencer.
Hubbardston to
From
building,
them.
building
Oh,
inspector.
all right.
It's just a copy saying that we.
Yeah, that thing is
Alright.
junk. Before they
I
pay
didn't know
it,
Booth Street was
get it
corresponding.
done.
What are they gonna put in, concrete,
Well,
plastic?
well, it's not bad to have it as a piece of information. So
Seems-
let's read this into the record as well.
Actually, not too bad.
Dated April 17th,
One meeting.
2018, from Mr. Richard Bragi, the building commissioner of the town of Hubbardston, to Callie S. DeVico, 14 Apache Way, Tewksbury, Mass. Dear Ms. DeVico, I have reviewed the past documents and decisions regarding whether or not your property on Selfridge Lane is a buildable lot. I am in agreement with the opinions and decisions that were made by the previous Hubbardston Building Commissioner, Lawrence Brandt, the Hubbardston Planning Board, and the attorneys for the law firm Copeland and Page PC. In addition to the regulations and bylaws which were previously cited pertaining to Lot 72 Selfridge Road, I would also like to call to your attention the regulations in the 2015 Massachusetts Comprehensive Fire Safety Code, which are amendments to NFPA 1. This regulation, Chapter 18, stipulates that the requirements are for access to a dwelling. The current access conditions on Selfridge Road to your property do not meet these regulations. Therefore, in my opinion, it is currently a non-buildable lot. I have visited the site myself and can personally confirm that this is the case. The Massachusetts Fire Safety Code regulations are included with this letter. Richard Bragi, Building Commissioner, Town of Hubbardston. Background information on this. This is a piece of property owned by the DeVico family on Selfridge Lane, which is off of Cruz Road, a road that was discontinued in 1897 by the town of Hubbardston. It extends from Cruz Road approximately 200 feet, 300 feet,
East?
Craig?
East? East, it's a
southeast.
gravel road or a
Yeah.
gravel path?
It's gravel, yeah.
Right, to the spot where it was discontinued. The DeVico property begins about 100 feet beyond the discontinued section and is therefore, or therefore does not have frontage on an approved way. We have maintained that it does not have that frontage. We have had confirmation from Copeland and Page over the years, and so be it. So this is another confirmation that is not a buildable lot off of Selfridge Road.
If they wanted to make that a buildable lot, they would have to improve Selfridge Road. No, they can't because they don't own that
It's
property.
not, it's been discontinued, therefore it would have to come back with appropriate, appropriate methods to improve and bring it back into existence.
Or buy frontage on Cruz Road and connect them. You could buy more land.
No, the road's been discontinued, that's for their land, they have land on Cruz Road.
You do.
But for Selfridge Lane, at the point of discontinuance, their land begins beyond that. So they have no land, yeah. And also for a matter of record, I'll read the letter that we received, copied to us from the Board of Selectmen. And this is addressed to the Board of Selectmen from a resident of Grimes Road, 1 Sharon Begley. To the Board of Selectmen, reference Streeter Road. Let me respond to a letter that was sent to you from some of the residents on Streeter Road dated March 12, 2018, which I became of and received a copy of today, April 25, 2018. Many of their statements concerning the history of Streeter Road are not correct. These statements have been used to have the planning board and you, the selectmen of Hubbardston, enter into putting an article on the town warrant to accept Streeter Road substandard as is as a public road. In 1977, when I moved to the corner of Grimes and Streeter Road was gated. The gates consisted of wooden posts with a lock chain from post to post. At this time, it was not a thoroughway and was only accessible by whomever had a key to unlock the gate. The road was private. In the Worcester Registry, Streeter Road, formerly Old Lovewell Pond Road, is described as a private way as wide as a cart, thus it is described as a cart way. I came across, excuse me. I came across this when I did title searches for betterment assessments for the city of Worcester. The road was not well-traveled and was not continually used by the general public. The cartway was used to access woodlots back in the day when people heated their houses with wood. When you review history and current facts, Streeter Road is not a private road in name only. The road is private for a fact. I was denied a building permit to build on Streeter Road in 1977. Excuse me, because it was private. Also, I spoke with a resident try that again. Excuse me. Also, I spoke with a resident whom lived there in the early 70s, and she stated that the road was always private and was maintained privately by the residents. Steve Romano stated that the planning board September 5th meeting, at the planning board September 5th meeting, the town voted in 1978 to maintain the road. I voted in 1978, and the article was to snowplow private ways, not to maintain them. Before and after 1978, the way was maintained privately. The town has not maintained Streeter Road for decades. Streeter Road would grade the way with a grader that he attached to his truck. Richard Streeter, I'm sorry. My apologies to all those
You want
in
water?
TV land.
Don't you want water? Oh.
Craig's buying, I can tell. Thank you.
Oh.
Richard Streeter would grade the way with a grader when he attached to his truck. When the town took the bond money from the contractor, it was used for maintenance of the way. When the money was used up, the maintenance of the way went back to the residents that lived on the way. As for the way being open to the public, is it? I believe you cannot open a private way without the consent of all the owners, which you do not have. And if it is open, you have to have it open to the public, which it is not. Because I was sent a letter of accused trespass for walking on supposedly an open road. In order for the town to plow this way, it had to become open. Who decided to say it was open? So it could be plowed by the town, and under what law? We didn't. The Romanos own the land across the street from us. Why did they sell this land to the Lovewell Pond Sporting Club and now want our land to access their house? Why wouldn't they and the 4 residents whom live on Streeter Road and are members of the Lovewell Pond Sporting Club use their own land to get their houses? Why not use your own property to get to your property? As for the town taking over the road under substandard conditions, be very careful, as we are aware there has been at least one car that went off the road and into Lovewell Pond. There is no guardrail. Parts of the road are not wide enough and have yet to be laid out, established, surveyed. There is no country drainage. Beaver deterrent that needs cleaning. No country drainage. 1/4 of the culvert that goes under the road to Lovewell Pond has 100% section lost. This culvert also has a beaver deterrent that needs cleaning and rehabilitation. Guardrails need to be installed on both sides of the causeway. Stone walls may need to be removed, and at least one utility pole has to be relocated. Without doing this, paving the road will cause safety issues. That is why the town has standards that have to be met before a road is accepted, and why you are expecting the taxpayers to pay for all of this. There are very few vehicles using this road. Have you driven up Morgan Road lately? I found the town's handling of this to be very unprofessional. To enter into and make decisions affecting abutters without notification to such affected abutters. I find issue with the article submitted for submission on the annual town meeting. Under reason for request, there are untrue statements. Streeter Road has not been utilized by the general public for over 100 years, and all the abutting landowners on Streeter Road have agreed to convey their respective interest in street or road to the town of Hubbard for no consideration. This is not true. I am an abutter and owner, and I've not agreed to convey my respective issues to the town. I await your reply. Sincerely, Sharon Begley, 41 Grimes Road, Hubbardston, Mass.
That's the letter we received from Debbie Reed, you already read that, isn't it?
I don't know, let me finish it here. Yeah, that's, we've already gone over this one. Okay. There you go. These your copies or?
I brought it.
Submit
Yeah,
them?
no,
Oh, all right, great. Next. A&R, Green Hill Road.
Green Hill?
Green Hill Road. Hale, Green Road.
Green
How are you today, Rick?
It is a-
Fine.
It is a green road.
This is.
So, we have an A&R. We have Form A. Copy of the check. And more plans.
That's the Mylar.
Oh,
That's
no,
the Mylar,
Mylar.
this is Mylar. Did we bring the pen?
I did. The only thing we need for an A&R,
That 13, oh, that. That was the other thing I forgot.
Yep.
to give you. Wait, wait, wait.
we got lots of plans here. Everybody got one?
Yep.
So what are we doing, Rick? Wanna give us an outline of your proposal? You need this?
No, sure, I will. This lot right here, here's our farm over in Hill Road, right here. We bought this land from Mr. Al Watts.
Okay.
And now, there was a little shy on frontage, even though he'd been paying on it as a house lot for years, but we rearranged it to provide enough frontage by taking a little corner of this farm field.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's 200 feet and 3.6 acres, basically.
So lot one is the one you're creating and,
Yeah, and the rest of this land just goes in the back of the farm.
that's staying with the farm?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
What's this revised lot?
Well, this lot, because, Tom, this lot right here, used to be this lot right here. Lot E16, and then we're adding this backland to it.
Okay, so you're creating this lot, and you're adding this backland to this lot, this 7-acre lot.
Right. Yeah, because this was 2 acres before. This is a house lot we bought from Carol Curtis, and we're adding this back to make it 7.5 acres.
Okay.
Does it have adequate frontage?
Pardon me?
Does that one have adequate frontage?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And where did this back come from? Did that
This
come
came
from
from
one?
this lot.
From this lot, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh.
There it is, that's.
We
Oh,
just-
so you bought, this is the lot that you bought,
Right.
and you're creating 2 lots out of it? You're
No,
taking-
no, well, this is the lot.
This is the lot they bought here.
This is the lot we bought.
And
With
they
the
had this
167 feet of frontage.
Ah.
So we just nipped this corner off this lot and added this backland just to provide enough frontage for this lot
You got
one.
two corner nips,
2 corner nips.
all right?
Because there's adequate frontage. We're not planning to do anything with the farm. We just shuffled some
Did you bring the checklist?
frontage
back?
feet around to
Yeah.
get
I wanted
enough
to
for
do
Okay,
this.
good, I didn't.
I just have to find it.
Did Joyce include it? 'Cause I gave it to Joyce. It might be in my paperwork, actually.
Rick? When you do a nip, is there any depth required, or just
But she
a
may
little
not
skinny
because
nip?
we did.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's nothing required except to conform to zoning.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like 5 feet back or something, just, you know,
just another pin.
just another pen. This frontage there, but it can't really be
I like that
used
one.
over here
That
on
was
the
in-
stone wall.
In this package.
There's
Okay.
notice for the, zoning bylaws. Do you have it? I can go over and get it if you.
Oh, I have it, I just have to locate it. We have a checklist that we go over, but I always misplace it, so we'll find it.
I have a copy.
It's right here, page 1. And you have a copy, you sat here and let me do that, huh?
I wasn't sure where you were.
All right, we ready?
You pay attention.
Property boundaries, North Point, date and scale. Name of the record owner, name of the registered land surveyor, and the Worcester Registry of Deeds book and page reference of conveyance to record. Area of each lot, sufficient data to determine the location, direction, and length of every street and way line, lot line, and boundary line. Monuments or references necessary to establish these lines on the ground. Where practical, boundary lines of continuous and adjacent land and names of the owners thereof as determined in the most recent tax list. Location of all permanent monuments properly identified. How we doing? So far, so good?
Yep.
All right. Location and names and present width of non-public ways abutting the property. Suitable space to record the endorsement. Zoning classification and location of any zoning district boundaries that may lie within the locus of the plan. In the case of recreation of a new lot, the remaining land area and frontage of the land on the ownership of the applicant shall be shown. Location of all existing buildings, including setbacks. Location and area of any wetlands on the property being created by the plan. In lieu of delineation, a wetland statement is okay. And A&R approval does not constitute compliance with zoning requirements for building purposes. We need that statement also. Any questions? Alrighty. The only discrepancy is, unfortunately, Rick, it's 2 lots. So I have to ask you for another $175,000.
Actually, I got a question.
You can make that up to anybody you want.
What do the 2 circles between the building represent?
Silos.
Silos?
Silos, yeah.
Oh,
Those
Used to be
are
a cattle-
harvest store.
Used to be a dairy farm.
Harvest store silos. Icon of farming, history of farming. You don't see those around here.
These are historical preservation.
They're a very popular item once, and now they're out
Are
of
they
favor.
concrete?
No, they're steel,
Steel?
porcelainized steel
What are they called? What's it?
silos.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had a
Harvest store
harvest store.
is the brand. They were sold like hotcakes all over the country, and now no one uses them hardly. They use pit silos, and drive over it, put tires over it, and plastic.
They cement it.
That's what they do.
Thing's a lightning rod, huh?
Really good product, but whatever.
We got a new one down there in
Things
near
change.
you. By,
Yeah, that's a
the railroad.
grain bin. That's not really the same. These silos are designed to have anaerobic action. They don't have any oxygen in them, so the grass or corn ferments in there doesn't rot. The silos are vented, so there's a little bit of air exchange. I'm guessing the grain silos.
Cool.
That's what silage is, right?
Yeah,
Anaerobic?
yeah.
Well, don't let us keep you from writing the check.
We make a motion to accept?
Is there a motion to accept the A&R plans presented by Rick?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? No vote.
Sign away.
This goes to Tom of Hubbardson, or Town of Hubbardson?
You can make it out anybody you want, Rick.
Just don't make it public, Rick.
Are we gonna
That's
start,
right.
start at one end and go to the other, or what are we doing?
Keep signing.
All right,
Hey, Ben.
doesn't matter our order, I'll do my best. Looks like we got way too many.
Yeah, we'll sign them all. We'll keep 2 and Rick can have the rest.
May 2nd?
Yep.
May 2nd.
I'm signing on the 3rd line.
I'm on the 2nd.
You got pen?
I do.
Here you go, Rick.
Lucky that was
Patty, have
empty.
they sent us a new form from the registry for
I
the
just-
signatures?
Yeah, and I brought it with me.
Oh, good.
Oh, good, we're all here.
Lost my pencil. There it is.
It's in there somewhere.
Tired, Rick.
Oh. Well,
I had meetings, huh?
I was out in the sun a lot today. Oh yeah, you were too. I can see that. I even
Farming's hard work.
put some sunscreen on.
Yeah, I didn't.
Thank you.
I had to go in at 3. I was just,
Yeah, it gets to you after a while. The wind was blowing, which makes it seem like everything's fine.
yeah.
Tom, would you mind passing those back down?
Certainly.
And it certainly kept the black flies away, because they're starting to come out, the little boogers.
They came out yesterday, right on time.
That was funny.
May 3rd.
Last year they were almost a non-event, as I recall. Maybe they'll do the same this year.
We always have a breeze. We never really get it. Nothing at least.
Reduced scientist, right?
Yep.
More?
Bill, you see the video of the patroller on Monday in the rain, snowboarding at the mountain?
Did they get in trouble?
Sheila couldn't figure out who it was. All she knows was, she said it was one of our patrollers.
Not me, I'm not an knuckle bagger.
Not gonna fight you.
Well, that's a whole lot of drawings.
Point check.
How many do we keep?
We keep 2.
Because our signatures are all a little different, you gotta register each one. Oh. This one is done. Are you collecting the done ones?
Oh,
Tom?
yeah, I got all the done.
Second.
Oh, what do we get?
Yep. 40 more here, but. So you may know this, but if you don't, this is the one that's going to the registry of deeds for recording. And when you bring back the receipt of recording, you'll get the house number for the lots. Don't lose the receipt.
Okay.
And file it for 6 months.
6 months.
If you wait 6 months, they gotta re-sign it.
Oh. All right.
So we gotta keep 2 copies?
2 copies, yeah. Well, that's nice, you gave us deeds, thank you.
Is Ed Boucher back in the area? Do you know?
He's in Royalston.
Well, maybe he's back from
Yeah,
his
Rick
winter,
Gutierrez too.
winter away.
Do you want me to
I
keep
would
this
assume
one
so.
down?
Those two
I
years.
don't know.
I'll put that with the chat.
Did this November.
Rick Gutierrez too.
He's a pretty responsive guy.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow he manages to drop everything and take care of you right away.
You got two, Ted?
Two,
That's
yeah.
a Form A, an application, yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
These are hers, that's hers.
It's been a while since you folded something.
Ah, I know, I forget. So many things I've
That's all
forgotten.
You know who does the laundry at your house?
That's why the grammar schools place so much emphasis on making sure you color within the lines, so you don't forget the right way to fill out your lottery tickets.
That's good.
What other reason is there?
That's a funny
The
one.
State educational system.
That's a funny one.
Educational requirement.
That's right. They dumb down some things, but they're not dumbing all
That's
of them down.
funny. Yes, some things are important.
Just try to get a ticket through
I
one of
made
those
those
Keno
changes
machines,
on
right?
this account now.
Just can't do it.
Is there a copy of this?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Have a good day.
We'll
Take
read
care,
that
Rick.
one
Okay.
before I'm gonna check it out.
How we doing?
Who's this?
That's mine. So,
Reagan.
geez, we're not doing bad. So we've done 147 Williamsville Road, so that's out.
Oh, wait.
No, wait a minute, continuation of public hearing. We don't have a public hearing. That's not true. So, another agenda correction. We are discussing 147 Williamsville Road, special permit. We already had the public hearing, it's over. We are not also doing a continuation of a public hearing at 145 or Westminster Road either. Those are two corrections on the agenda. However, we are discussing 147 Williamsville Road this evening. So, to clarify, we've had close to a year, or over a year, of public hearing. Over a year, yeah. Of public hearings on 147 Williamsville Road, the special permit application for a large-scale photovoltaic installation. All testimony has been tendered, and we are now going to consider the decision which was presented to us as requested by Places Associates for the special permit site plan approval of 147 Williamsville Road. We all had a copy of this in our email. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review it. I'll ask Bill if he has any opening remarks you'd like to give us this evening.
Does anybody need a copy? I have it in color.
And that's the March 23rd.
February 21st, February
Three,
21.
3/7.
Oh,
Well, but
when did that?
does it or does it not incorporate the 23rd comments that you sent out from Tom?
Yes.
All right, then that's the 23rd.
Oh, okay.
I'm
this
trying
is
to make
the
a
same.
point. You don't revise it up.
Oh, I do have the 3/7, okay.
And something else. I didn't present it to the chairman because it was asked for by Tom.
Wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Do what you
Well,
will.
what is it?
All right, so. Get comfortable.
We gotta move the table.
I'll
What,
tell
what
ya.
is, what is this that's being handed over?
I don't know, it's something private that Bill just gave to Tom. It's
No,
not,
no.
not,
Is
it's
it-
not our
Is
business.
it on this? Is it subject to, is it on this subject?
I'm gonna let Tom address it.
Oh.
Okay, Bill and I called Bill today.
Wait a minute, time out, wait a minute. Is
Yeah.
this germane to the decision, I
Yeah,
guess is
yeah,
the question?
yeah. This is one of the issues.
I thought-
Let's get into the decision. This is one of the,
Is this in the review that we have?
this is going to be in the review. This is a recommendation I made, I talked to Bill about today on the telephone, or yesterday.
Yeah.
about this, and this is.
It's
a-
not mysterious, just,
Well,
Well, I just
why don't
wanna-
we understand what it
It's
is?
just about the same project.
it is.
It's just another change that I'm gonna introduce to consider.
So do you wanna introduce this now, do you wanna wait till we come up
No,
with
give
these
us some,
points?
give us, give it
Okay,
to us now,
so
we have
all
a chance to
excited,
think
okay.
about it.
Okay, just so you, a little bit of background, Patty and I have been working with the town accountants to get our accounts straight, where everything's being posted, so, like, the issue that we have, with Places Associates, there's enough money left in the account so he gets paid, and we don't have to go to a special town meeting. Okay, so we've been Patty and I have been working on that for a month with the town accountant. Of those conversations with the town accountant and searching for the money that's put in the decommissioning fees, we were told by the town accountant that if a solar project is sold and they have a decommissioning fee, when they give the town the decommissioning fee, they put it into a special account, which we verified that they're there, and they have to use their 04 number and do a W-9 to open up a bank account. So the town is basically opening a bank account in the name of these people, and we.
It's in Unibank.
Yes, or wherever it is, yeah. Okay, so when a solar project is sold, okay, it doesn't the original solar company, the original person who put or company that put the money in there, still owns that money until they receive a letter from the owner, the transfer, and they fill out a new W-9, because that all has to be submitted to the bank. So
What's a W-9 again, remind me?
it's just, it
that
tells,
withholding?
it's like
Tax
a whole-
ID number.
tax
That's
ID,
withholding
yeah,
and,
yeah.
tax ID number, okay.
So I get that
Because
right,
they're
Patty?
earning interest on that money in the bank and they gotta pay taxes on that interest.
No, they are not.
Well,
The bylaw says all interest is by and for the town of Hubbardston.
Show me.
Read the bylaw.
well, let's not go into that right now. It doesn't matter if they have to get the interest or not. When the bank gets money, is holding $50,000, they wanna know who it belongs to, and you have to have an 04 number. And you have to have this W-9 filled out. So when I talked to Bill the other day about this, I said we should have that as a special condition in there that the planning board, if before a project is sold, they should come before the planning board to get approval. It's not necessarily approval, but just to make sure we get all that paperwork.
They have to submit
Right.
like a little report that lets you move this money around?
Or something, and that's what we would talk, that's kinda what we're gonna talk about tonight.
Right.
And Bill I haven't read it yet, but.
No, you haven't.
Bill has done.
4:30.
Yeah, Bill has, did some research for us on it.
Is this something we have to incorporate into this project because it's the next in line?
Yes, that's. what
Or is this something generic that we handle accounting wise?
Both.
No, this is, well, both,
Kind of
but we
both.
wanna put it in all the special permits. Eventually, we probably should put it in the general, into the bylaw, but, it's pretty important because it kinda spooked me. So, Seaboard Solar sold their property 3 or 4 times, but Seaboard Solar still owns that property. That money, not the property, they still own the money and the decommissioning fee.
Do they own the land under that?
No, but they put in $50,000, I'm not sure exactly about
Yeah.
that. They put in around $50,000, and that money is owned by Seaboard. Whoever gave them the information to open that account, they still own it. Okay, we can't, or the town can't access it, of the new owner. So they could come back in 10 years and say, hey, we want that money back, and we would not.
And
may still-
whoever owns Seaboard now has no bond.
Right,
We have several.
Whoever owns the solar panels now.
right.
Whoever owns the
I
farm.
mean,
Right.
yes,
However-
Seaboard is owned by some guy and that doesn't change, but the panel ownership.
It
changes.
depends on what got sold. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
honestly know. And I wrote it so this document I wrote, transfer of trust of equipment, of property.
However, there would be no return or refund of any monies unless there was replacement, if the accountant was doing it.
How many papers are we supposed to have?
One.
One
It's
page,
just
yeah.
one page.
Yeah,
Got one?
if, and that's
printed
and that's, Bill did point that out to me, and that is the if.
Can I have
Is
one
if-
too?
Oh, sorry.
I gave them all away.
So that is the if. So we wanna make sure that if they sell this, they need to come before the planning board to get approval for transfer. That was my question to Bill. Can we do that?
Yes.
I thought, somewhere along the line, we said, none of that money moves anywhere without the planning board approval.
That's correct, that should be,
We did that 2 years ago,
yeah, we,
I
that's
think.
correct.
But it's not part of your permit. Now, so what
No,
Tom
but
and I,
the whole thing is to protect the money.
right, but what Tom and I talked about is, let's place the burden of all the tracking, of all the responsibility. When a property is sold, the title attorney's supposed to make sure this is all buttoned up, but apparently they're doing a pretty crappy job. Let's place the burden of making sure it happens in the manner that the town needs it to happen on the people doing the transfer. They have to know, so I'll run you, may I?
Yeah, please.
No,
Well,
that's the transfer of ownership.
Well, it's not just ownership,
All right,
so,
well, let's go through it.
Yeah.
Before you start though, Bill.
okay,
This is, to make it simple, a special condition that I guess Tom is proposing that we insert into the decision.
right.
That's it. Okay, that's fine.
That's
Yeah.
where we are.
Yeah.
And the other,
Alright, so-
the other, just before we go further, the other thing, if it comes back before the planning board for approval, if there's any conditions that aren't being met, it just gives us another opportunity to enforce those conditions.
Right, so I did kinda, you know how I twist words?
Yes.
Never say anything in a sentence with a paragraph will do.
Wait a minute, what did you just say?
So if we have this, okay,
I think if you read it for 5 minutes,
yeah, Ms. Reed.
it'll probably
We
explain
don't read
itself.
anything, we just talk about it.
Okay.
All right,
No, it's-
time out, we'll
but-
read them.
But in point, it probably should be discussed when we discuss the special conditions of this permit and inserted as a motion to include,
Right.
okay? So
Agreed.
let's put that in the perspective, we can all take a minute
Yeah.
to understand it, and we're not gonna discuss it any further than this until we get to the special conditions section of the decision, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. See what you started? I blame him for everything. I can't blame him for
I didn't
anything.
get a chance to call you on it.
That's all right. I just putting it in perspective.
Yes.
It's no big change or anything, and all of us have this perspective, and all of us have the opportunity to insert conditions if we would like to make such.
Yeah.
So this is
It's
where.
very much like the property owner has to give permission to
Exactly.
decommission,
Right.
yeah, along those lines.
I thought my husband and I had done such a great job of putting together a contract with Borrego that when I look at all this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, we didn't think of this.
There's a lot to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
This is just what we're talking about.
This is what she was saying. So this really did come up, just kind of a byproduct of another conversation. When we went, oh, okay. Because she did say if Seaboard Solar called up here and said, we want the money, and it was 10 years from now, and she looked into it, she would just give them the money, because they own it.
No,
Well,
She could, but the.
well, she could, but she's
right.
not
But the
supposed
new
to.
owner, there comes a problem too, I would think. With the new, you have the decommissioning fee from Seaboard Solar, but they don't own it anymore, just using Seaboard as an example, of course. And then, 10 years from now, 5 or 6 different owners, they don't actually have the
No.
decommissioning fee.
Right.
Seaboard has it, you would get.
And Seaboard would be able to potentially prevent you from accessing it.
Right,
well,
Unless-
that's,
Unless in the chain of title, like Borrego is proposing to do, the new company is gonna inherit the bond and the money, and it moves forward with the property.
Cash
But that's
exchange.
not how, I guess, the town accountant or treasurer.
treasurer, who's
She's the
Lori,
accountant, yeah.
accountant, sorry.
No,
And
the
we gotta change that.
party.
How they actually account for it on the accounts, that's how it came up,
Yeah.
so.
And just as kind of a point of clarification, the money is supposed to collect interest, because that interest is what increases it in relationship to, inflation.
Look on the application where it calculates the amount that they're gonna put aside.
Mhm.
And every one I've read has built in the 20-year inflation into the
2.5.
amount that appears on day zero.
Okay.
And the question on where the interest goes is another question.
Yep.
One's an escalation and one's an earned interest.
Right.
The escalation is already there.
Okay.
No, check me, but, I mean, it's
I
been there
wrote
on the
it.
ones I
I
looked
just
at.
don't remember.
It ought to be there for this one, we'll have to figure that out.
Correct.
It was the last time I looked. They had the wrong one in there for a while, and then they changed it. It was Milford, Connecticut or something, and then they made it
Oh, they did, yeah,
applicable to
right.
this one.
I didn't, wasn't something I missed.
So A is just information. B is their action. Is that right?
A is notify,
Yeah, A is information provided.
right,
But B is what they have to do.
correct. That's why I've got question marks in case you come up with anything else. And I, you know, with all respect, I think you'd wanna run this by the town treasurer, accountant.
Lawyer.
The
Um,
treasurer takes the money, the accountant is the one who controls
Holds
the
it.
whole picture.
Well,
got
I would-
clarification the other day.
I would say that our responsibility ends at this table with whatever decision we make, and the people who work for the town's responsibility have to be aware of and by the laws and regulations that we promulgate. So that, I think, is what this says, is we're not gonna take the chance that an oversight occurs and something mistaken happens where we're out of money and then people start pointing fingers. So I don't have a problem with that.
And this doesn't take you anywhere that you already aren't.
That's correct.
The last paragraph, failure to perform, you already have asserted that right in your special permit
We
to
have all of
rescind.
that, right.
Yeah,
But when if these things change hands every 2 or 3 years, which they seem to be
which is
doing,
possible.
Huh?
Okay, it's funny because you guys were talking about that like through various meetings and I'm thinking, oh, I thought we were gonna be working with Borrego for the 20 years.
No, they've stated all their projects, not just this project, they build them and then they sell them.
No, there's a little overlap though. I believe.
Time out, we're not going there, we're gonna stay on this, with,
Okay.
you know.
All right.
we're
Well,
gonna-
anyways,
I wanna
say
get this
these-
done tonight.
These things could go 2 or 3, be sold 3 or 4 times, and as time goes on, especially if we're having problems with the facility, this is partly that this appealed to me, because if it comes to us, on a project that's not conforming to the special conditions, this would give us just another lever for these people to make them comply with the conditions.
That's fine, I don't have a problem with it.
I have one comment. The use of the word transfer. I don't like it.
Where?
Under B1. I would prefer, I had a boss once who always said it's like wing walking. You are holding on to one guy wire and you grab the other wire before you let go of this one. So I would say payment by the new owner and release to the original owner in that order. In other words, we get the new money before we release the old money. The new money comes from the new owner, and the old money goes to the old owner.
Or could we word it so that we're
In that order.
completely out of the process, and the arrangement for the ownership of the surety that the town of Hubbardston holds is between the principals involved in the transfer of the realty?
Which is what I'm trying to do, because if they do pull that fast one, then you assert the last paragraph,
Well, they can't pull the fast one until our accountant lets the money go.
if you arrange it that way, correct?
There's no fast ones here. It's just
Well,
bureaucracy.
But when you cut a check to Bill and expect a check back from Patty to replace it, we have to play middleman.
No,
If
you
they
get
make
it from
the-
Patty first before you give it to Bill.
Well, yes, but we still play middleman. If
Right.
Patty and Bill make the deal, Bill transfers ownership of his surety to Patty, then we're all set.
It's just like at the closing, the title attorney's supposed to keep the money in escrow for the taxes, the liens, and everything else, and he's supposed to pay them. I really wanted, I was trying to craft this along that set of lines where everybody just reports to you, this is happening, and then here's our certification that it meets the requirements. I know exactly what you're saying, Tom, and we can do that.
Well, no, I don't have to do it. I mean, that was the one I didn't like. That's the
Yep.
only word on the whole page I didn't like. Good
Well,
job.
I'm doing good.
You're doing real good.
But he'll find another.
And I wanted to add something to this, I just thought of it. This condition shall remain in perpetuity.
Oh, that's a good idea. So we've had these things transfer. I know one of them was transferred and the town didn't, the only one who knew about it was the assessor. The one down
Next, Sam?
next to him.
And I believe she alerted people. I
Yeah.
remember getting an email.
But there was no physical transfer of funds. They made that arrangement between themselves,
Yeah,
which is
but-
what we should be doing. They should.
But the point is, we started, these people were supposed to report back to us every year of the ownership.
Mm.
We had no idea who the current owner was.
Yeah, you won't get any argument from it.
Yeah. No, I know. I
But
mean,
I'm
that's-
just saying that I don't think if we're gonna do this, that we want an active participation in the transfer of those funds. Though it has to be between the principals.
Right, we don't really care, I don't care about the transfer of the actual transfer of the funds. They wanna really come before us, before they transfer and get the approval. Once we give them the approval, then they can transfer the funds. I have no idea.
Then the attorneys can take care of the closing.
Right.
As long as they notify you, we can notify them and say, don't forget your responsibility,
Right.
or remind them of their
But
responsibility.
what the treasurer, or the accountant was, the big issue was the ownership of that money. The ownership of the money always remains with the person who opened the account and provided the tax information to the
Right,
town.
unless and or until they transfer it.
Unless they transfer.
Right.
And that is the problem, cause we're talking 20 years here, there could be a lot of changes in 20 years, and it comes.
Why is it our problem? Why do we need this?
Why is it our problem?
Hmm.
Because we don't wanna be looking 20 years down the line and then having a problem with decommissioning and then not having access to any money to fix it.
We have it in our bank account.
But we may not,
But they can prevent, so Seaboard, let's say by example, because they're the most recent, Seaboard could step up to the plate and say, that's our money, you don't have access to it. It may stay in Unibank until a judge decrees, but you might not have immediate access as you anticipated to
If you were
decommission.
owner number one and you walked away from this project without that money, that's your problem.
no, they sold.
I don't think
it.
under state law it is.
They sold the
But I'm
property
not an
and
attorney.
they didn't, somehow it didn't get collected. The problem comes is that down in 20 odd years, no one knows who owns that money. So the original owner says, well, we own that money, okay, cause we never we never transferred that money, okay? And yeah, legally, you might be able to get it. We're talking this one, we're talking almost $500,000.
Hmm.
People will fight long and hard in court over $500,000.
Well, when you transfer the permit, near the end of that permit is this money.
Right. From an actual legal
No.
standpoint, the money belongs to the person who put it in there until it's transferred out.
That's right, and if you transfer that and the money is not recouped by the town, the person who transfers that ownership can go up to the town and say, now give me my money back, I don't own it anymore.
Right. And
That's what we're trying to prevent.
that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to prevent. We're trying to say, before you can transfer this permit, you need to do these steps and contact us in the
I mean, I
town.
personally, I think the simple notification to you is the trigger that you get to say, but we gotta put it in writing, so it's part of the permit.
Right.
It seems to me that the closing attorneys on any of these things aren't paying attention to any of the permits, which
Right.
is the
So-
point of a closing attorney.
Have you asked any of them?
I haven't met any of the closing attorneys.
Not the attorneys, the owners.
No.
Who may they be?
Well, then we
All
have
right.
a new owner, cause we
Well,
were told.
anyways, let's.
Alright, so
Well,
that's, this
alright.
is gonna be considered in the special conditions.
And we don't wanna be a party to it, this is going on between those guys, not the
No,
town.
only the transfer of the money we don't want to be part of.
You wanna be notified.
Yeah, it's,
You wanna be notified the
We-
transferring, and you wanna be notified everything's done at the end.
that they have done it,
Right.
but we don't have to do anything,
You-
Right.
we're holding the bank, we're holding the town.
The only thing you have to do is enforcement,
Yep.
if that doesn't happen in the way that you want it to happen,
Yep.
by advertising a public hearing or rescinding the special permit.
Alright, well, good catch, Tom, and thanks for going through all those accounts, and, yeah, I guess you put things in the right buckets and everything, so.
Well, we're trying,
good.
we're almost there, I think, yeah, we're almost there, we'll go
Well,
over that after, but I
It's a
mean,
lot of work, and you do a lot of work on it, so thank you.
Okay, are we ready? Don't start that. Don't start that up. I don't wanna see anything on the board.
No, it's just for me.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna make the changes as you guys go.
Alright.
Attempt to
How
make-
will we know?
Okay, let's, page number 1 of 2. I have no issues with anything on the petition, petitioner and or owner, agent or representatives.
Petition,
Anybody have an issue?
I have an issue.
You're not involved in this, I'm
No,
sorry.
the owner
she's the owner.
is listed Cindy Schlenner, which is me, but it says David Rogers. I'm not married to a David Rogers. His name is Dennis Rogers.
Oh, you wanna correct it? Alright, keep up the good work, kid. We'll make you alternate member.
He
next year.
apologized.
a petition,
I thought you were gonna give us a hard time about who owned it.
No.
Alright, so,
petition, third sentence.
Maybe you are married
This,
to
this
Dave.
decision is in response to a petition filed for special permit and site plan approval,
wait, what?
as you have
say that
stated
again,
elsewhere.
Tom?
Right here. Petition has been filed for special permit and site plan approval, just as up here in the title.
I guess I missed what you said, now that I just read what you said.
This
Hey.
decision is in response to a petition filed for special permit and site
Oh,
plan
you
approval.
wanna include,
Well, that's what it
and-
says up here, decision, special
well, I
permit
know
and
it
site
says there,
plan
but I
approval.
wanna know what you wanna say about it.
That's what I wanna say about it.
You wanna add the end of it.
And,
For special permit and, that's inserted, special permit and. We're off to a nitpick start, so let's keep going.
Good catch, okay.
This draft 3/7/18, that's not accurate, this is 3/23. And when you put out the next one, bring that up to date, please.
what do you mean it's 323?
This document came with a cover letter saying, here we are, draft 3/23/18. You open the document, and it says 3/7, which you
Oh,
can't tell apart from the last one that was issued.
I got you.
You can if you use my colors.
Well, you can't.
Here you
You'd,
go.
you'd have to determine that.
No, I use colors.
I know, green and red,
Yeah.
but that's not the point.
I understand.
Document name.
Alright,
I'm just
Told
gonna,
you wouldn't
I'm
be the
gonna,
last.
I'm gonna barrel through it, so either agree with me or we're
I'm
gonna.
gonna use the colored one.
Proceedings.
second page, location, board action, proceedings, exhibits,
Proceedings. The board held duly noticed public hearings, plural, get rid of the word "a." Does a list,
and we have a list of dates we have to insert.
yeah,
I need to do the Patty and I need to do that. Yeah.
and has that been verified? I mean, how do you verify it? You go through the meeting minutes or
Mhm.
something? You get everybody's name on every
Find
meeting
out
and
who was
whatnot?
here,
Okay,
right.
great.
And we list it. To the best of my knowledge, you're the only one that missed a meeting. And I think you passed Mullen.
Say that again?
I think he's passed the Mullen rule timeline.
Yeah, he's out completely, yep.
If you miss a meeting, you can
Yeah.
watch the video prior to the next meeting.
Well, he came in so late after the beginning of the
Oh,
proceedings.
that's true.
He was elected in June, we
Right,
started
right.
in March, so when I checked with the attorney, it was just too far along.
Okay.
And again, exhibits, of course, we will cross-check with Patty. We did the best that we could,
All right,
given
exhibits.
the year
Exhibit 1, number 2, fifth word in plan should be capitalized. Exhibit 3,
Quit trying to get these
Number
bites, man.
one.
You're not gonna win.
site plan should be capitalized.
I'm sorry, say again?
Again, at top of the page 3, the first use of the word plan should also be capitalized,
Let's
as
not
you've
get
done
ahead of
everywhere
ourselves. We're
else.
still on page 2. Anybody else got
Okay.
anything on page 2?
I write my novel, I'm calling Tom.
He was an editor for the New York Times for several years. Page 3.
Got it, top
Tom?
of page.
Exhibit 7,
Wait a minute, page 3.
yeah,
What was your comment on 3? I didn't get it, that's what I'm asking.
capital P. Please,
Oh, exhibit 7, number 2, it says last revised,
Am I missing the date?
5,
Yep.
2018.
thank you. You're doing very well.
I used to have to review specs.
What do you have for a date on that, Bill?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I believe it's February, but
Mm,
that's the governing documents, February 5th. The roll of drawings.
That would have been the date that was last submitted. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would guess it's February, just like it says in the first sentence.
Right.
February 5th is the latest round of revision on any of the roll of drawings. Now, under Exhibit 7, same place we're here, site plans. I would appreciate it if you actually listed the drawings. I have them as T1, C1, C1.1, etc. But I think we should actually list them. Last time I asked them what governs, and they told me that roll, so I went home and copied the roll. You know, all the way up to C5.1. That's the, now, there might be a
And
whole.
number 3, is that what you're saying?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, under 3. Now, I'm sure they have a whole bunch of other drawings on their project. You know, probably have 150, 200 drawings.
Yeah, it's
But
only
these
what
are the
we
governing
see.
ones.
Right.
So it's not good to just say site plans, because they got 200 site plans. All right?
Yep.
Go ahead, Jim. Page 4.
Haven't finished 3 yet.
Oh.
Okay, moving to 4. Anybody got anything else on 3? Page 3? No? All right, 4. Exhibit 10, draft decision, site plan. Thank you for capitalizing plan.
You're doing very well, Bill. You're really doing good.
I'm gonna leave.
I mean, it took him 4 tries, but he got it.
We want to positively,
that's not worth
we want to positively reinforce these capitalizations. Yeah, and you're not even the generation of the MCAS testing, which do not need capitalization, spelling, or anything, or grammar.
As you can see, I was an early adoptee.
MCAS doesn't require it?
Nothing.
You're kidding.
I'll talk to you about it later.
All right.
Punctuation is not important, as you will find out.
Nothing in grammar makes any sense.
Well, if you're gonna do everything in a tweet, who cares?
When you're dumbing down, you're dumbing down.
Too many words.
I got one on page 4, 7.6.
What are you, a speed reader?
Yeah, that's a bit.
Well, I read it at home before I came. I
Oh,
came
okay, just-
prepared, and I spell checked it for all the caps.
I think it,
We talked about it last time. We should express it both as the AC and the DC, as shown on drawing C.0.
7 point what?
7.6.
Yeah, it showed as DC.
Well, we don't know what it is, but if we say both of them, there's no confusion.
Bill, I don't understand this, one of these things. It's on a lot that's 117 acres. and then we're taking out, using 31 acres. In the bylaw, and I'm just,
Excuse me, Tom, where are you? Just give us a
Oh,
reference.
uh,
to
Seven
your-
point
He's on,
7.4.
10.4.
Just a clarification.
4 and 5.
It says, does it have, a solar farm have to be on its own lot, or it just has to be designated outside of the house lot?
We did that on Borrego Gardner Road. It's on 2 separate lots, but it's on the same lot as the house.
But it has to have.
I thought the house couldn't
One
be
of
on the
them
same
was.
lot. Doesn't
One
the
of them
zoning
was.
say it can't be on the same lot as the
It-
house?
It can't,
Do we have,
it can't conflict with the conformance of the house. So if they need 200 feet and 2 acres, then that can't come into the 2 acres, but it can be outside the 2
okay,
acres.
okay.
But it doesn't need its own 200 feet.
No,
And it does not need to be on its own lot.
It does not have, okay,
No.
yes.
correct.
I was, when
And in fact, we can even co-join adjacent lots,
Right, I know
neighbors
that,
that can
yeah,
do that
okay.
too.
not this one, but other ones.
There are other ones?
No, just as they come up.
Ah, yeah.
All right, so you're gonna do AC/DC thing?
Yes, sir. Just right
Super.
after the power, right?
Yeah, just, it's off the drawing.
Did you include the changes in here that I asked you for?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Haven't come to any yet, have we?
No,
They'll be green.
Oh,
correct. They're green.
Anybody else got
They're
anything
teal.
on 4?
Teal.
Okay, let's go to 5.
So 7.12, it says condition 39. The reason it's red is I need to make sure that my cross-reference is correct.
You said that at the very beginning, you're gonna remove them all.
Yes. I'm gonna enjoy that.
So when this is complete like that, Tom, would you mind going back and,
If he,
copy?
if he gives me to you electronically, I'll scan it for caps.
Thank you.
No problem, I'm glad to do it.
I'll put track changes on for you.
I can never make that work.
Good.
All right. Anybody, on page 5?
7.14, by the way, Tom,
Yeah.
is a carryover
Yeah.
for that exact same issue, so if you did want to, leave it, you could.
What do you mean, leave it?
It
A parcel
explains-
is a subset of a lot, so that, this
That's-
finding addresses exactly what you
Yeah,
just
I know,
asked.
I know, just got
That's-
that, yeah, okay.
So I'm suggesting
confirming it.
we take it out,
Why?
cause it's not as confusing as it was on Borrego Gardner Road, but there's no harm in leaving it.
I would leave it
I'd
in.
leave it, yeah.
I'd strike your parenthetical
Then we,
expression.
then we have at least a precedent for anybody else who, has,
Second precedent,
Second
Gardner,
precedent.
Gardner Road was the first, yeah.
Not only that, but they may change some plans. They're allowed to change plans.
Not without coming back to you.
I understand that, but they are allowed to change plans.
Right.
15, 7.15. Is this the kind of lighting that doesn't make light pollution?
This is the kind of lighting that comes on with motion sensors when you
Yeah,
approach a
I know
gate.
that.
That's all it is, security lighting that turns itself on.
Well, it says
and
it'll be blocked from abutting,
off. Shielded
butters
from
or something.
abutting residential. In this particular case, that's a no-brainer, but
Well,
you don't specify other than shielding. We don't specify. It shall
You-
not,
you had a special name for those kind of lights.
full cutoff.
It's not really, these lights aren't gonna come on unless there's an emergency or someone
Like
going
coyote.
there to fix.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but if a deer walks by,
I know.
Or my loose dog walks by.
yeah,
Yeah, but who's your
what
right?
what I'm asking is, is it appropriate to impose the non-light polluting type light fixture? He's only got 1 or 2 of them. It's not a cost issue, it's just technique.
Well, I
Yeah,
kinda
okay.
think shielded from abutting residential uses achieves
Does
that
that do
goal.
it?
But it does, yeah, I mean, it could be enough light, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say put it in, because we've done that on subdivisions and other situations where we did not want the light shining up.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember the name you
Dark
gave.
sky,
Okay,
dark sky compliant. Light shall be dark sky compliant, and that's a universal term to say
super.
lights don't go up into the air.
Anybody else on 5? Anybody got anything else? Go on to 6.
I really like our new format. I think it's gonna be a lot easier. Standard conditions, then we go into prior to any site work, so that it's not the shotgun as in the previous, where you're looking for this, that, and the other thing.
Okay.
Administrative conditions are up front. This is what you're gonna do prior to commencing any site work. This is what you're gonna do before you get a building permit. So that there's a logical sense to them.
Yeah.
Sue did that.
Well, I wanted, on number 5, I wanted, actually, and 7.
Go back to page 5, you mean?
On page 6, on
Page
page 6,
six.
yeah.
Okay.
Was scratching the word site work. I wanna
Wait a
make
minute,
sure.
where are you?
Do you have my color?
Page
Yeah, I
6,
did,
number
yeah.
5.
Number 5,
I don't see, oh, green, I did see
In
that, I
green,
didn't
yeah.
see that.
just strike the word site work in those areas, just.
You did that 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yes, you did, every time.
And
So that,
tell me about it, because I like the word site work.
Because I don't want, they should be doing these things before they do any work, not just site work.
Well, what do you mean, they can't make a drawing?
No, this is any work.
What's work? They can't make a drawing, they
Well,
can't do a
work is work done on the
calculation?
ground. This is for,
Oh, you mean site work?
Ooh, you're getting tough.
yeah.
Well,
You
that's
have
what I
to go
mean.
back on this one.
That's what I mean, you
Yeah.
can't say they can't do any work. They gotta go home, do calculations, to make drawings.
Well, they've already
Uh,
done all that, they shouldn't have
no,
anything
they
left to
haven't.
do.
I don't
I
think
think
they
it should
have.
be work.
You
I
think
don't
they
know.
spent all that money before they got a permit? I don't think so.
So I don't think they should be able to start any work.
I-
When I'm meaning the word, maybe construction work, if you wanna add that in there.
Well,
but
is construction work on the site? Is surveying on the site?
Well,
Is cutting
site-
down a tree on the
cutting
site?
it, so they can go there and cut all these trees down before they
No,
even pull their permit.
No, that's a site work. You can't
Oh.
do site work. But you can do calculations and drawings and procurement, purchase orders and
I-
anything else you want.
I make a motion, we change it to work.
I make a motion, we don't change it. We leave site work
All
in.
right, so
I mean,
wait a minute,
I argue about everything.
this is, no, this is important, however,
Yeah.
because the,
I mean, they've already done work. They just haven't done a lot of site work. They flag.
we would never know of any work that they have done unless it was visible to us or revealed
Right.
to us. And therefore, in that sense, Tom is right. There
Which
is-
Tom?
Oh, I am confused. Nice job.
So you're right into the middle.
And you get to be right. You cannot be wrong in that one.
So that it probably would not translate to anything else except physical work that's gonna be done at the location. So we need to have to qualify the word work, because Tom Robinson is correct. That work is only gonna be visible to us, and they're not gonna come in and do that work in the office, go to the town tax collector before they do the work in the office. They're just not gonna do that. And if they did, we'd never know it. So I think that the physical work that we have to worry about is, if you're gonna put it that way, it's either gonna have to be any construction work or any site work or any,
You don't
any
wanna.
physical application of,
I think you should just leave site work.
You don't wanna blow through stone walls, you don't wanna cut down a bunch of trees, you wanna
I don't want a bulldozer.
hold that off until these
No
hurdles, have been passed. So I think site work is perfectly applicable. And construction work isn't quite enough, because somebody could say, well, I'm cutting down a tree so I can survey, that's not
This is the
construction.
battle that I have with Travis, right, with the driveway permit, because he says that you need to get a driveway permit before you even bring a truck up there to do a Title V or to do any kind of surveying. The truck is going on the property. So the battle that he wants to have is driveway permit before they even step in to talk to Board of Health or anybody else, and in a way, it's kind of the same thing.
I could
right?
understand his position. You don't want people just blowing stuff around,
Cutting
at the
trees to
site,
get-
but
right.
back in the office, they can do anything they want. And they've already done some things. They flagged, they surveyed, they soil sampled, those kind of things are fine.
Well, I think that's the obvious point, that it's the physical presence on the site that we're really concerned about, because we're not gonna have any control over their internal operations.
Right.
They're not gonna reveal anything.
But if you just put any site work, or whatever, I'm not gonna.
Well, that's the word you used.
Right,
What is it? What was it
Is
meant
there
to
an
be?
alternative?
You
description?
you wrote it, so justify it or take it out.
Site work is a defined phrase. Site work is on-site construction, on anything,
so they can build
any
this,
construction.
so they can build this entire project, according to this. They can-
No,
Well, you're just saying.
they
site work is
can't
where you-
commence any site
No,
work.
no, no. Site work is construction that involves the subject property.
You can't
Yeah, but
mobilize, you
work-
can't drag on your
work-
trailers, you
Any
can't,
construction work on the project at all, they can't do until they've done all these things, but they can start the site work.
how?
Construction is site
I don't
work.
wanna sit and argue all night about it, let's just move on,
Good idea.
Let's leave site work.
okay?
Under A,
And
on-
7, do we wanna leave site
Yeah,
work as
yeah,
well?
yep.
Okay.
and there's several more locations.
Yeah,
Do anything, but I, all that stuff. Just do 8.1, 8.2 like you did in all the other places. I hate these things.
How do you get those little things on the keyboard? Where are they anyway?
That's why I hate them. I like 8.1, 8.2, or, you did it elsewhere.
Where do you find
It's the
them? Just out of
military,
curiosity.
it's
I
the
can never find them.
military,
We write
rendering.
specifications, so I have a little button I click to.
On VII, or VI,
6?
8, page 6, 8, VI, very bottom of the page.
That's Roman numerals.
Reduction of, you got a colon in there for no reason. How was that one? Is that the nittiest of the nitpick?
No.
So delete colon.
Yeah.
Good
Now,
catch, Tom.
no, number 10, the teal.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Are we on
Page
page,
seven.
done with 6?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyone else gonna comment on 6? I have to rein you in every now and then, if you.
That's fine, I'm rolling. I thought we gotta get through this.
Page,
I appreciate
page
it.
7. Go.
The teal in 10.
any changes to the subject.
Any changes to the project? All right, so we're going along, and we had one light over the equipment, and they decided to put in 2 lights. Is that a change? It certainly is any change.
So what other towns do?
Well,
In
I like
this-
the original wording.
Well, the problem is, somebody's building something, and sometimes it's really bad if they have to stop and wait a month to request permission to have a better idea.
Well,
Wait a minute, let me
Just-
finish
all
this
right.
explanation, because I'm a
So
little bit.
what other towns do, any significant change in the opinion of the building inspector or board or agent shall then come back to the planning board, so that you define who is making that somebody makes a determination that it's a significant change that should come back to the planning board. I don't disagree with you, any change,
you never get the project done.
well, it would be difficult.
So
Well,
these
not
green-
only that,
wait a minute,
but let
time
me-
out. Let me just make sure I understand it. These green words are proposed, what did you have?
I propose those.
Yeah, I know.
The crossed out changes, see, the changes has been crossed out. That was the original wording. Any change has taken the place of changes.
That's the proposed change.
Okay, so, but changes
cookies
could
left
be
over?
almost interpreted as
Same thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
So you
No.
really should assign.
No, it isn't. You gotta read the whole
Well,
sentence.
true.
Down there, talks about what Bill said. Significant changes shall require a public hearing. If they're not significant, then they roll along.
So who makes
But
the
the
decision?
point is,
You do.
any changes means that we have to get into the drawing review loop. And we don't wanna be in the drawing review loop.
Well, it doesn't matter if, whether it says any change or changes to the project shall be reviewed by the planning board to determine if such changes are significant or of a minor nature. So they can't do anything till somebody makes that
Yeah, the
determination.
question,
Well-
that's not gonna happen.
That's a very subjective situation.
All right.
And it's also a very subjective
Oh.
situation for whoever wants to make the change, because they could say, oh, we didn't think it was a big deal. I did, what's up?
That's right.
Can you
Mom.
just,
Excuse me,
Oh,
should I put them over here?
oh no, bring him here.
Oh, only for you,
Oh, you only got one?
just for you.
You're out of order,
Thank you very
Claudia.
much.
You're out of order. He's got a mouthful already. Thank you.
Can you define minor changes so that they know that those are not the things that have to be brought up to the planning board?
Well, that's why I'm advocating that somebody be appointed to make that determination.
I think
Building
that's,
inspector, planning board agent, member of the board, someone.
yeah, I think that's more efficient and certainly going to be more probably efficient's a word that comes to mind, but it's also probably gonna be less intrusive on a project to get it completed.
Well, I would think your office would, or if you're the one overseeing it, be the one that make that.
Not after tonight, I can tell you.
As long as it doesn't have any grammar involved.
Well-
Sign language, we'll go with sign language.
Theoretically,
I did-
theoretically,
I
any
did-
change is a drawing revision. And some of these drawings will be, at the end of the job, they'll have 60 reps.
Yeah, but we don't care
That's right, we don't care
that
about
they
49
changed
of
the
them.
gauge of the wire because the electrical inspector, I mean, an example of Borrego, a pretty significant change, cost them a lot of money, is the electrical inspector made them wire tie every cable coming down so that they couldn't flap in the wind, eventually have the casing come off and short out or whatever. That didn't come to you. It didn't need to. It was
Okay.
the electrical inspector's
So
call.
I had one, let's see if this is something that would pertain to what we're talking about. Under 7.24 on page 10, additional special conditions. And we can modify this, but let's see if this works, if we can fit it in. I wrote, any and all submissions to any town of Hubbardston board or entity shall be copied to the planning board consultant, Places Associates, who will act as keeper of all records in order to review and report status of compliance to the planning board before issuance of certificate to generate.
You really don't like me. First off, you shouldn't name me. It should be your consultant.
Oh, that's fine, I just,
Yeah.
that was,
Shouldn't name Mike Byrne.
but, I mean, if we can modify that so that there's a, it could be the building inspector instead of the consultant.
It's any
Yeah.
agent, planning board.
All right, I have one alternative suggestion. We saw the drawings, February 5th issue, they issued them. That is one snapshot of our understanding of what this project's gonna look like when it's all done. But it probably won't be, it'll change. Over here on the standard conditions administrative, we say prior to commencing site work, you do this, prior to commencing site work, you do that. We could make it so that prior to commencing site work, they submit those same drawings as they exist just before they put the shovel in the ground. It's a milestone. And we look at them and we say, what are any big changes here, Mr. Borrego? And if not, we say, go ahead and do site work, commence site work. And then we have another set of drawings. I mean, if the planning board wants to put their nose into this, this is a way to do it. You just have a couple milestones. The other milestone is the as-built drawings. At the end of the project, you come through there and you look at the as-built drawings. Now, they come in 3 months after the work is done. But if there are significant changes, we could make them reverse that change, or we could make them change the light, or we could make them do something that it has to impact the public. It can't be the wire ties. It has to be something significant about the way they
It
did
has
something.
to be something listed in your regulations.
Yeah, it has to be pertinent to the ruling here. And then we stay out of wire gauges and how thick the anchor bolt is and, you know, all that nonsense. Not nonsense, important stuff, but what the hell do we care?
Well, there is oversight, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the
By-
building inspector is overviewing.
He's
overlooking
enforcement.
This whole project. And if he were to find something amiss, I would think that he would then be responsible to bring it to us, tell them to stop work, because in his opinion, it's a significant difference from what he understood the project to be, and bring it to us for review.
Well, before commencing site work is the only time you get to change something with a pencil. After you commence site work, you gotta change things with bulldozers. And that's real expensive. But changing something with a pencil isn't too bad. So I would think that that's our last chance to see that any significant changes. If we as a planning board think we're engineers and we're gonna look at the drawings and satisfy ourselves that they haven't changed anything
Well, then,
significant.
perhaps that suggestion I made, that it goes to the consultant for his last minute review, and then brought to us if necessary.
Well,
Do-
what
will
I'm
you-
suggesting is changes to the project shall be reviewed by the planning board's agent, or
Mhm.
agents in plural, because the building inspector is by default an agent of yours, he's an agent of the town.
I'm gonna eat all these cookies unless somebody wants some.
To determine if such changes are significant or of a minor nature, significant changes shall require, no ambiguity there, shall require a public hearing at the applicant's expense. And I think that cleans 10. And
So-
then it can say any change or changes, it's really meaningless
really
at that
doesn't
point,
matter,
yeah.
So
Because
we'll-
there are entities on your behalf making a determination whether it's significant or not.
So changes to the project shall be reviewed by the planning board agents to determine if such changes are significant or of a minor nature. And then everything else stays the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but now I'm kinda wondering. Yeah, I know, we keep doing this. Significant changes, so let's say you appoint me as your agent and I say that's a significant change. Doesn't that mean I just made that decision and took it away from you?
No, you've made the decision to bring it back for our review.
That's
Oh,
not,
that's
this,
true,
that's not
because-
what this says. here.
Because you can say, no, Bill, we don't agree, that is not significant, yes,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, but we don't want you doing that every week.
No, on Borrego, they called me. On Gardner Road, they called me and said, this is what's going on. Most of the time.
Well, wait a minute, we don't want him doing it every week, but we certainly want Borrego to keep
No,
him
I
informed.
meant by doing it every week, coming back to us with a significant change.
No, but that's the mandated inspections,
Where are you?
page 6.
Okay,
Those are the mandated inspections.
all right, I don't see a release, I don't see a look at the drawings prior to construction.
Where are we, number 8 on page 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, with my little eyes and eyes.
3 eyes and 4
You could
eyes.
add a zeroth step. Submittal of approved for construction drawings.
Yeah, well, I assume they are, as it says in the document, the February 5th plan set.
They say approved for construction?
They are the approved drawings.
They're approved for the permit. I don't think they're approved for construction. I didn't see that on the drawings. I had them.
Well, they're one and the same. So when
No,
I do public work, and what I give to the planning board is what the planning board needs to know. You don't need to know the class of the steel of the
that's
bolt.
exactly right.
And what we put out to bid for actual construction is different, but it still complies with the planning board requirements. It just has about 10 times more detail. That's not really relevant to zoning, planning, site plan review. I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm
Well,
just,
I don't know. I'm exploring here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if,
I've been involved in a lot of projects and they go on, I've been in things 4 years to do, and
Yep.
you got a stack of drawings 25 inches thick.
yep. We try not to do that anymore.
Yeah, well,
It's all on the computer.
All right, so we're back on page 7.
all right, what do we wanna do?
I agree, changes to
Beat
the
it around.
project shall be reviewed by the planning board agents to determine if such changes are significant or of a minor nature.
Right.
Rest stays the same, okay?
Right,
So we're reversing the blue, the teal.
right,
I'm leaving changes
Okay.
right.
and adding the word after planning board agent with parentheses.
Perfect.
And of course, number 11 has been a criteria of every permit that you've issued.
Well, then we'll keep it going.
Even
Does-
though
does-
they don't do it.
Doesn't seem to work, but
Well, we have to get into enforcement.
it is a failure point, and you've got every one of them on it. Just to
So-
let you know.
Well, then, we're leaving it in there. I mean, regardless of what our action is, that's their responsibility
It
under
truly
this
is.
permit.
Yep, yep.
You don't need that colon.
What colon?
Including?
See it?
Get that colon out of there.
It's done. We did a colonoscopy just there.
That was good.
Oh,
No wonder our viewership is so high.
But
Did you catch that one? You get the colon?
I'm down to, prior to commencement.
1, 2, 3.
oh,
I would use site in the three places.
yeah, we've already determined that.
Well, here they are again. I would
Yeah,
just
well, we
keep,
made that reference on page 6 that
Yeah.
we would use site.
and I would
all the-
take out the word construction and use site in its place.
Yeah.
So that we do site.
Okay.
All right.
We're good.
Page 7?
Hold on a minute.
That's on page 7?
Hold on a minute, we're still on 7, yeah. Okay, let me just make sure I got this correct. Who does the stormwater prevention inspections?
They do, under the US EPA criteria, and they have to keep a log.
That's
of all
all
the
federal,
inspections.
isn't it?
Huh?
That's all federal, isn't it?
It is,
Okay, so they're inspecting their own work
right.
and reporting to us.
They don't report, they keep a log, and then we
Well,
have
it says here, it says,
quarterly, yeah.
provide a copy of the permit and accompanying stormwater project pollution, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, to the planning board, and quarterly, 4 times, provide the inspection reports.
Yeah, we look at the NPDS and the SWIP. The SWIP is about a 300-page document. It says a lot. It says this is the guy that's in charge of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. These are the people that have been trained in stormwater pollution prevention plan. It identifies what Indian tribe may or may not be impacted, what historic properties may or may not be impacted, what the methodology that they're gonna use. The SWIP also includes the 198-page general construction permit that's issued by the EPA and like 66 more pages of guidance documents.
Details of how do you
Yeah.
go around
So
a tree and all that.
we look at it, just to make sure that they didn't say, it's the Missouri River, which is some of the stuff we sometimes see when they're prepared out of state.
It says 4 times a year, this is during construction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
For-
When they're done with construction, it's very much like the Wetlands Protection Act, you gotta file for closure.
So it's only once the project is complete.
Right.
And accepted, there are no more filings.
Correct.
I
That
think
was my question,
Yeah, I would
yeah.
think that was your question, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
During,
during construction, right, okay. Alright, let's move, anybody else on page 7, comments?
Page
Page
7.
8,
Page 8.
site work.
Number 18. commencement of site work, the contractor shall. Now, what's he doing here? Just submitting the sheets?
Yeah.
And these are only construction chemicals, right? These are not O&M chemicals.
Yes, cause it's under the heading prior to the initiation of site
okay.
work. Yeah. We found that in other towns to be of particular interest where some of the stuff that they're bringing on the site is of questionable purpose.
Like they really don't need to use that chemical?
They brought onto one of the sites 75 gallons of lubricant for the heavy equipment. Not 75 gallons, 75 55-gallon drums.
Oh,
Just have a big leak.
I mean, for
get that out of
for
here.
D8s, and you know, that's like overkill.
It's
And like,
100 years worth.
they were stockpiling it on this site because it was centrally located, and using it as a warehouse. And we're like, no, you know. So that's the genesis of this.
Very good. What about O&M chemicals?
What does O&M mean?
Operating and maintenance. When they were here, and I can't remember whether it was Gardner Road or this one, but I thought they said they no longer use chemicals to control growth. They use special seed and special grass that
Right.
doesn't grow up and
There's
all
a
that stuff.
solar field grass mix that they have now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Do
doesn't
we,
grow more
should
than
we make
15
this a
inches.
condition of this, that they don't use defoliants and weed control?
Actually, I'll make that a condition on the amendment that has to be added to our contract.
Well, that's fine,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your presence and help, but
Yeah.
in terms of our permit, is there anything in here that says something like that?
No, because
And I don't think it's a burden on them. if
it's
they're-
allowed under Mass General laws.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be allowed under this permit. If, it's particularly because I remember them saying they're gonna use special seed
Yeah, solar field
mixes,
mix.
seed mixes that,
Nothing grows more than 12, 18 inches.
Yeah. so if that's their intent, all I'm trying to do is codify their intent.
You can do that.
And I also to that would say, and I can't find.
That's a general condition
Yeah, maybe that's on like a general.
or additional.
No,
special.
this was a construction condition.
No. What you're talking about is O&M.
Yes, that would be a general condition, I guess.
Because we're still, prior to initiation of site work, prior to, we're about to get the building permit where they can actually start
Right.
putting things in the ground.
Just a simple sentence, that, plant growth is controlled by seed mix and not defoliant. Or maybe you have better words.
Well,
Well-
just don't put that chemical, you can't use Roundup, or that chemical name.
So I took a pesticide course not too long ago with Department of Agriculture, and if it's
Are you
legal
twitching? Are you twitching or
It's-
anything?
We didn't do any chemical spraying. If it's legal to use in the state, it's a pretty hard stretch for any other entity to usurp the power of the state to say that that's
I
not
agree
allowed.
with you,
Except the
but we're
puppies,
not
right?
imposing on anything. We're not imposing on them. What we're doing is documenting what they told us.
I don't think you're right on that, Bill.
Well, we did it with
The
our,
town can say we don't,
we
the
did it
town
with
can
our
ban-
soil law.
Yeah, we could be more restrictive than
The state
law.
said you can bring this stuff in, and we said, no, you can't.
Right. Not only that, you can actually ban that product in the state. You can ban it from the town, like they do plastic bags. Plastic bags are allowed in the state.
Pesticides have a very specific set of regulations, pesticides, herbicides, and all that, as
That's
you
only
know.
because Monsanto has bought everybody, but.
That's
It
true.
is what it is. I don't make the laws, I just
Yeah.
try and
Let's get
figure
through
them
this
out.
part first.
Well,
But the answer to the question is, if they offered it,
Well, I'm not 1000% confident of that, but that's what I remember them saying, and I might have a memory failure.
and then the other part of that is you can include it in, and if they find umbrage with it, they can come back to you and amend the special permit as
Yeah.
issued.
Well, I agree with Tom on that. I'd like to
Which
clarify it.
Tom?
Both Toms. Since we don't have any jump balls on this
I
one.
need you guys to start talking.
But,
Okay.
and I'm searching for the one comment that I wanted to make in relation to that, which is, I am not in favor of any fertilizers being laid out for the, regeneration after they play out.
So now I'm gonna do it again.
Just a moment.
There is a state law out there that
It's
says,
934, I think, for fertilizer.
No, it's
Oh,
it's 8:20, it's 8:35.
Page 9?
Yeah,
Okay.
934, I think.
yeah, there you go.
Where are we?
All right. Page 9, number 34, just in relation to the conversation.
This
we
one I
had.
know really well.
Oh, well, that's,
Fertilizer use and application shall comply for non-agriculture application of nitrogen fertilizers. All right, my issue is that especially where we are draining to a watershed, nitrogen fertilizers are just not good for any type of water that they may leach into.
So this regulation says you must have a soil test. You must, if you're any large scale, any kind of planting other than a farm, you must have a soil test done by a registered agricultural agronomy lab, and they determine what the optimum composition of the soils are, and they take into account the leachability of the fertilizers in the soil, because if you have a fine grained soil, it captures the nitrogen a whole lot better than a sand, which washes through. And that's what this regulation is specifically for, to protect the watersheds and everything else.
what do? They apply this fertilizer every year, or they apply it
no,
once
just-
on planting and then never again?
Correct. So you balance the soil, you accommodate all the deficiencies, or you counteract. For example, I have a project that we have so much phosphorus in the soil, I don't know where the heck they got it. We've got to reduce the phosphorus by diluting the amount of soil with sand and things like that. And that's what the soil test is for applications. And this regulation, 330 CMR 31, has specific regulations when you're tributary to a water supply or
Okay,
water.
so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, they take that into.
Very good, all right, let's go on then.
You still have
We're
your
still
trout,
back on
you
page
still have your
7.
trout unlimited
Oh.
membership card?
No, never
are you
will.
going to add though about no use of defoliants?
Well, I was wondering if we could add it right there.
That would be really nice.
We can
I'm
add it.
adding it to my list of things, but.
Should we add it to 34?
I was gonna wait till we get to that page.
Oh.
Let's get through
All right.
page 8.
All right.
Page 8.
All right, let's,
Let's talk
just
about the
quickly,
20.
just make a note on page 9, I'll just make a note of foliant, so we'll come back to that, okay?
The bond amount on 23.
All right, so anybody else got anything on 7, page 7?
Oh,
7.
we're on 8.
We're going
No,
backwards.
I didn't conclude we go into 8.
We did site at the bottom of 7.
Right, anybody else got anything else on 7? All right, now we're on 8. Applicant owner.
What's that mean?
Okay.
On 23, we came, last time we met, I think we talked about, 2 times when Sue was here, we talked about the bond amount. And where does that stand now,
Is this the construction bond or the decommissioning bond?
the decommissioning bond?
Well, aren't we under construction?
So
Prior to
we're
the
on,
issuance of a building
prior
permit.
to issuance of a building permit, number 23.
This is a construction bond though, isn't it? Isn't this paragraph about the construction bond?
And to cover the cost of removal and the
Oh.
event the town must remove.
Oh, you're
the
right,
installation.
okay.
It's the whole thing.
We heard testimony at the hearing, and from the applicant who wanted X number of dollars, which was different from the testimony our consultant gave us for the amount that you recommended. And I am in the position of recommending what our consultant recommended, whatever number that was, which I believe we determined, or we can determine will cover the costs.
Do you have the application in your
Everybody's concerned.
briefcase?
Right, the number's like
We're here without the
453,000,
application.
Something like that.
yeah.
Caramba.
All right, so we'll,
So-
Do we have the application?
I don't know, I
Back
brought
in
the
the
wrong file.
office.
why do we need the application?
Because it says the money in it. And I thought they were at the higher level.
They were not.
Your colleague was here,
Yes,
and what's his name, Zach?
yeah, Zach.
Zach agreed to her higher number.
Yes,
That's
they
what
did.
I remember.
That's what I was
Well,
told.
no, what they said was,
Oh.
we will not argue with whatever number you impose. They did not want the higher number.
Well, if we look at the applicant, the number's in there.
But their number they put in there is not what Bill
Their
right
number
now.
was like 273,000,
Yeah.
and her number was 453,000.
Yeah, much different.
It was much different.
Okay, I'm
That's,
in.
that's not the question that Tom is asking, Tom Ratko is asking here. Tom wants the bond to be posted prior to the issuance of the building permit, right?
No, I didn't, no, I
There's
didn't
no
say that.
bond here.
No, I was saying that should, the amount should be stated prior to that.
Should be, well, it's gonna be stated in this.
Stated in this, right.
Okay,
That was the amount,
alright, then I got that wrong.
yeah, just the amount, you know, so we don't wanna discuss, the issue was, should we discuss this after we give them the permit?
Right.
Oh, no.
Yes, that's what's written, that's not what I said.
All right, I have a basic question. Always thought there were two sums of money. One sum of money is to guard the construction project, and a separate sum of money was to guard the decommissioning at year X. Is that true?
You can do it that way, and
We
had-
did it.
We attempted to do it that way.
We did it with down the street here,
Seaboard.
Seaboard.
Yeah.
We had two sums of money.
Yeah.
Well, if we have a money in the bank for the decommissioning and the construction is going on, what evidence is there we've got the construction covered by the decommissioning amount? I know it's a big amount, but I don't know what construction tries to cover. Is construction covering, a fire happens and they burn the neighbor's house down or something? I mean, what's going on there? I don't know what the construction's supposed to do. The construction fund.
Bond, call it a bond,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, it's cash, isn't it? That's what we did with Seaboard. They put $17,000 in our bank.
Yeah. That is, if they get up and walk away, you can restore the site to some degree. But if they get up, the big risk on these solar farms, as evidenced by other projects, is the big risk is right up front when they're building it. They hit something they didn't know, ledge or whatever, and it costs them 10 times as much to build as they planned. Therefore, it became uneconomic and they walk away. The other big risk, in between completion of construction, it's the decommissioning that is the next big failure point, where they go in, they strip the frames of all the valuable materials, and they leave the land in a raw.
A bunch of bones laying around.
Exactly. So it is whatever you guys want. If you want two bonds, two sums of money, but what we're doing here is the decommissioning bond is the biggest of the two, and if it's available to you by this now, we've
So
only
by-
got one sum of money that's available for either purpose.
So this statement ensures that we can use it any way we need to use it.
Right, that's how I always thought it was.
Okay.
To secure the satisfactory completion of all or any part of the work authorized under this permit, and to cover the removal in the event the town must remove the installation and remediate the landscape.
Just so we recall what happened at Seaboard, they did things that they weren't supposed to do, and we asked them to put up money to take corrective actions on that. And I think you also imposed a fine on them. Or
The
proposed a
Conservation
fine.
Commission chose not to.
Yeah, I think they charged them like 5,000 or something.
So we need a
They
statement.
made them remediate.
We need a statement in here that will restore any funds that are used for construction remediation.
Well, it's got all or any part of the work authorized under this permit.
I understand that. If we have to use $50,000 out of that
Oh,
money
and it pulls it down,
and
yeah.
it pulls it down, we need to have it reimbursed.
Well, then they can't get their generation permit until the
Well,
bank
that's
account's
true,
full.
but it goes back to everything we're saying here tonight. We wanna state it and we want it on the table up front,
Okay,
So, no event, 150% cost removal compliance with district requirements supported the decision. I would suggest that the last two sentences of 23 don't matter. And I would suggest that up top, we need to say prior to the issuance of a building permit, a,
No bond
what do
security,
we call, a security, a cash security?
cash security.
Why did the last two sentences don't matter? Cause they already have submitted that?
Yeah.
Okay,
A cash security in the amount of dollars blank shall be posted with the town in such form and amount as required by the planning board to secure,
That's prior to issuing the building permit,
prior to the issuance of the building.
right? Right. The only issue I had was that we should state the amount in there.
I agree.
And we're gonna recommend your amount.
Yes, I gotta go.
then they should modify their application.
No, they don't need to modify their
Because we're
application,
giving
we're
us-
making this,
We're
the
just
condition.
dictating the amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay,
They don't,
does your amount that was proposed by your colleague ramp up the amount the same way?
Escalation?
Yeah, is
Yeah.
she giving us a year zero number or a year 20 number?
I'll have to check, but,
You think it's 20?
yeah, I think it's
yeah, I
fine.
think it's 20 also. So the condition I'm looking at is any money used for any purpose prior to decommissioning shall,
How about just saying the full amount should be available before you get the generation permit?
We can put that back in the down in the later pages, don't
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just-
good, good spot.
we? Yeah, in the,
No, they can't generate a megawatt until
Upon completion of the
They have a
system,
full
but prior to
bank.
energizing operation,
the bank account's full.
all right,
Counts
that's,
all.
as long as we get it in there, that's
Okay.
fine.
42.
All right, anybody else?
Good catch, Tom.
What number is that? 23.
we're deleting the last two sentences?
Because we've already done it, so we're
Right.
not asking them to prove
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, we don't even care about the rest of it. We're using yours.
Right.
Okay. No problems with the prohibition on trucking on Saturdays?
What do you mean by no problem?
Nobody's got any problem with that?
Wasn't that the same as Gardner Road? We said
think
no
we-
work, Tom, you remember that, no work would be done on the weekend?
No, we said that they are allowing weekend work with the approval of the building commissioner. But we were specifically, preventing heavy trucking or trucking of materials into the site on a Saturday because there's a business right next door to it,
Kathy's?
Kathy's.
Ladybug Farm.
Ladybug Farm, yeah. So we don't want a bunch of trucks going up and down the road
Hauling
with
dirt.
deliveries, holding up traffic, or there's gonna be more people there.
Right. But they really use the weekends for the electricians.
Right, so it's not big I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I see the distinction now, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I was
yeah.
reading this wrong.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's something back up and it's that beep. It's not so much the truck noise
Yeah.
for me, cause I live right there, it's the beeping of the
And
truck,
why didn't you
that's
come
all.
to the hearing and make that testimony known? I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
He
We
lives
we
on
wanna
my
know
road.
about all these beeps,
Oh.
Patty.
Yeah.
You know, beeps are
Beeps.
important.
Yeah.
Should have been
Are
there.
they capital
Beep.
beeps?
A lot of colons.
The beep beep, the roadrunner beeps, right?
Yeah, they
But
are.
it was
Okay.
really to help.
All
the
right,
business.
we accept that 24 then.
All right, let's move on. Number 9, page 9.
Oh, yeah, we never even thought of putting something like number 30 in our contract.
Should've come and talked to us.
I thought we were doing such a good job, Jim.
No, you did.
Okay, the number 35 is something we discussed, blasting, if it's required, shall be considered a change of the project as described in the conditions.
Blasting, we have a bylaw on blasting, don't we? I thought it
I
was,
don't believe so.
yeah, it's under quarrying, I
know
found it.
this is the
Yeah, that's
quarry.
quarrying.
But that's
No.
quarrying. But that's not.
But blasting or quarrying,
But
it's
that's under-
paragraph 2.35 in our And we got the bylaws? Here we are, without the application and without the bylaws.
I've got some, you got any, you got a motion?
Are you talking general or zoning?
I don't know, 2.35.
Sure.
Yeah, it's zoning,
Definitions.
it's zoning, definitions.
I'm gonna scan all that stuff and stick it in here.
You know they're all online, right?
Yeah.
We just can't get it out of this bunker.
Oh, you can't, no.
They ought to put a, what do you call it?
Hotspot?
A relay.
We do have Wi-Fi. You
But
get the
two
Wi-Fi
point three
pass.
five is the definition of quarry.
Blasting.
Yeah, but that's part of the definition of quarry.
All right, well, let's read it. The removal of stone.
The removal of stone
The
from an
only-
open excavation or pit by cutting, blasting, ripping, or hammering, or any other method other than collection of material found loose in its natural site.
Let's ask the other question. When they make the plans of February 5th, and we looked them over and all of them, have they designated any blasting? And do they have to designate blasting on those plans and failed to?
I don't have sufficient information to indicate whether they're gonna hit ledge or not.
I thought they did soil borings.
They did some soil borings.
But they don't, they said that they're not anticipating any blasting.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, they
That's why
said
I'm
they're
asking
not
that question.
anticipating blast, but in the case.
Nobody anticipates
Well,
blasting.
honestly, they wouldn't be.
Not
permitted.
many. I'm not doing building work
But I'm just
when you
saying,
were gonna blast.
if blasting becomes an issue, I don't want that just to be, oh, we're just gonna approve it. Let's see what the extent of it is.
Well,
Well, wait a minute,
Um,
now, what I know about blasting is that they need a permit, they need insurance confirmation, and they need, I think, notification of any neighbors of what they have for protection.
But they should notify us.
Well, no, I was just saying, I'm just making that statement. Are we,
They need a permit from the fire department. They are required, depending upon the proximity of abutters or structures, they have to, a registered professional engineer has to perform a pre-blast survey. But there are no structures or houses within that radius, which is usually about 400 feet. It also depends on how big the charge is that they're gonna use, cause it's the acceleration of the wave that is the problem.
okay, so now we've got the ground understanding out of the way. What is the concern on the blasting?
The blasting is, if they have to start blasting, it could significantly impact this whole project.
How?
Cause if they have to start blasting, if they run into ledge and it's a huge area, they're gonna be blasting a lot. And that
Yeah,
could-
but how does it impact the project?
Well, it's gonna impact the people that live around the project.
Well, you just said he had a fire permit and
Well, I know, but
500
you're
feet to
still
a
gonna
house.
hear it, you're
That's
still
right.
gonna have an issue
And,
with it.
and what we don't want is a crowd coming in here saying, what the hell are they doing down there blasting? We would like to be informed of it, I think, as a minimum, before it happens.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
No, you're saying that it's a
It's a change.
significant change in the decision. So-
Change requires a public hearing.
And
I
if it's
think-
required, wait a minute, let me finish.
Uh-huh.
If it's a required blasting to complete the project, and we deny the operation of blasting, how can they complete the project?
Well, my intent was really to be notified, so people know what's going on,
I agree with you.
yeah.
I think we should be notified, or our agent should be notified, and our agent has the right and obligation to make sure that they followed and did all those things that he just elucidated. Well,
Right.
you gotta get a fireman's permit, you gotta have all this
State law.
stuff.
That's state law.
Well, I know, but you're not involved in it. They could just go off to the fire guy and get the permit, and we'd be blind to the fact that it's happening.
See, I would think that would be a significant change to the project.
And what happens if it is a significant change? I'm just playing,
They
No, I
they just
understand.
have an obligation to tell us.
yes, I
And make
understand
sure we
that.
get an obligation, we get a chance to make sure they're doing everything right.
That's,
Right.
Boom.
that's what you want them to do, but if it's a significant change to the special permit, what do we do about it? That's,
What would we do about any significant change?
well, we
Well,
have
if
to,
Bill comes and says, we have this significant change on this project, then what are we gonna do about that?
well,
I have an
It's
answer.
the same,
wait a minute,
same
wait a minute,
thing.
I understand that. But this is a little bit more dynamic if you
No
will.
pun intended.
Oh, intended. But it's a little bit more dynamic because it may be an absolute, it must be done.
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be done, that's,
Well,
you know, they may say we wanna blast, but maybe they don't really have to blast.
Yeah.
They wanna blast because they're gonna save themselves $100,000, so they're gonna blast, which typically isn't the case, but I don't know, I just feel as though some notification should be done to the planning board, and the neighbors should be notified of that there's gonna be blasting.
I think our agent needs to be informed before blasting happens. That's one condition. And you get to review that they're doing it right. And
Well-
a significant change is one that steps out of the bounds of this permit.
Well, it depends how you define significant.
It steps outside, I just did, it steps outside the
but
bounds
there's
of
no
the permit.
significant here, there's just a change.
Yeah.
So I just wanna make sure
If
we're
it,
on,
if it hasn't gone outside the bounds of the permit, then they can do it.
well, I don't disagree that we should be notified. And I think if we're notified, and with the terms and the conditions that they have to blast given to Bill or our agent, then that's when we decide whether it's significant or
I would agree with that.
not, you know, because
It's the same as when in the any changes paragraph where it says he reviews it to determine if it's significant. We didn't give him any special wisdom with that paragraph.
I'm sure Cindy's sitting over there would like to know if they're gonna start blowing apart the entire side
well,
of the hill.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
have to,
I'd like to know so that I can prepare my horses too.
Yeah.
but they have to.
And I've
That's-
just
that's
added that
law.
into
So, I mean,
my
they have to
list.
comply with that, but my point is simply that I don't wanna have to reconvene a public hearing unless we can have some type of criterion to determine whether or not it's a significant change.
All I want, with the intent there was we have some sort of notification,
Awareness of
a notification to the
Mm.
planning board or our agent, and he'll let us know that there's gonna be some blasting. If they run into something that's different, cause if they start blasting, it could result in other issues, you know, they.
Groundwater. issues.
Well, not that so much as they may walk away from the project. Well,
That's
that-
why we say no perchlorates can be used.
Right.
Westford has quarries, and they use perchlorates, which are soluble in the water, and they've contaminated quite a few number of wells.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying,
But they're
that's
not
just
supposed
that we
to
have
use
some
many.
sort of notification.
Right.
Anymore anyway.
I agree with you on that,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
quantify it,
Well-
what,
Paragraph 10 says it pretty good. You could almost say, if there's blasting, the blasting shall be reviewed by the planning board agent and
Pursuant
determine if
to
it's
the criteria
significant and blah, blah, blah.
Then
Well,
And
that's
I-
why, yeah, if blasting is required, it shall be reviewed pursuant to condition number 10.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Tom was making his point on.
Okay.
so you wanna leave that in number 35 then? If blasting, yeah, that gets added to the end of 35.
Blasting, if it is required, shall be reviewed.
Well, you can leave the first two sentences alone and just say
Right.
blasting,
If it is required,
if it is. If it
shall
is-
be reviewed pursuant to condition number 10.
Right.
Pursuant to the requirements of condition
Right.
10.
This is a permit that literally leaves no stones unturned.
And, oh, it's a model for the next one, though.
And
This is a pretty good
it's
one.
really been a blast doing it.
No wonder people don't come to these meetings.
No one-
Must have
what?
been the- Yeah.
Well, you don't have to come, you can watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, we got a great viewership. I'm gonna be quoted on in town media tomorrow, that's gonna be,
Oh, McCollum?
no,
That's
Oh.
small?
I don't know, but somebody will quote me tomorrow or something.
I have a question on number 33. It says shall maintain the stone construction entrance.
That
Yes.
was when he was gonna blow through the,
No,
No,
he's required,
You don't want dirt on the roadway, so they have to put stones so it prevents it.
it's a tracking pad.
oh, it's laid down stone,
Yeah,
not a stone wall.
And that's what I was thinking of, stone wall.
they have a
Okay.
detail called stone construction entrance.
Okay.
And all that does is it's a track pad, it prevents some of the mud,
It's like a doormat.
yeah.
Oh.
It's-
and
Okay.
we're putting it in here because technically, they do not have to get a driveway permit, cause you have one.
Oh, okay.
So we're making sure that the mud doesn't get onto the road by putting
Right.
that stone.
Belt and suspenders.
Okay.
Well, it's a safety issue.
Sure.
Got it.
Headache for that.
All right, anybody else got anything on page number 9? Oh, wait a minute, we wanted to put in number 34, a defoliant.
Oh, that's right.
I think I wrote that down, huh?
Yeah. You're doing really good tonight.
And I've added that into my list too.
I'm telling you, I thought we'd be out here at 7:30.
Me too. Good thing I had supper.
Want a
Horses
cookie?
are still waiting.
You wanna put a defoliant in there?
Well,
No,
we
we
talked
wanna,
about-
we wanna prohibit them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Defoliants shall not be used for weed control.
period. Got it, Bill?
Got it.
All right, page
Colon.
10. No colons.
I'm a little longer winded than that, but I said herbicides and defoliant.
Very good.
Ooh. I should put that in my list too, and they'll look at it and say, gee, this looks familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll worry about insecticides.
Yeah, wait till they go out there.
Yeah.
They'll hire the mosquito squad.
I said not be used for weed control. How about not used on the site?
That's what I wrote.
Excellent.
I wrote, no herbicides or defoliants shall be utilized on the site.
Okay.
You're brilliant.
Page 10.
I recommend you recommend me for a raise.
We gotta hire, we can get you off that bench, we gotta hire a chair over there.
We're up for one as well, so when we get ours, you get yours.
You get the same percentage as us.
We're up for 100% this year.
I hope so. I didn't have any.
Now, that's what's gonna be quoted tomorrow.
You'll get a call from the town administrator.
I can't give you any more than 85%. Okay, we'll take it.
85% of nothing is nothing.
Not even nothing, it's 85% of nothing.
Oh, I did not have any on 10.
42.
I had,
Bank accounts to be replenished to meet condition number 23.
That's
Where's
number
our,
42
no,
and
where's our,
42.
wait a minute, where's our give them the permit to run? Because
Well, let's-
that's where we stuck it.
39.
Yeah, we said the bank account has to be full or they don't get that, no, that's not 39. Where's the, they gotta apply for the
okay, that was on.
permission to energize?
Well, that starts, yeah, it's condition 37 on the,
Page 23 is what you're the item 23, Tom, is what you're talking. That's where we have to be made whole if any money is used before.
Is that where we're gonna put it?
Well,
I was gonna
that's
put it
what
on
we discussed.
42.
That's fine, I don't care, but that's where Tom
Where's
asked
the
where we
one,
discussed.
where's the one that says, generation permit or something?
I think it's 7:14.
That's the bottom of page 9, but really is contained on page 10. The header is on the bottom of page 9.
Okay,
It's 37 or 42, new 42.
Tom, I know 7:14 says something about certificate to generate unless all.
yeah, certificate to generate, that's the word.
Yeah, 7:14.
Page 7.
Page 7?
I'll tell you what,
What's
this has been a very nice compliment to this meeting. I am so glad you're here.
Oh,
I am.
Thanks.
It's just, it really makes a difference.
really?
Oh, it does.
Oh.
Yep, there you go.
What are we talking
Why is
about?
We're on
Talking
page
about
7,
the,
item
access to
14.
generate the
Oh,
certificate
standard
to-
conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
fine.
the,
This already says it, the bank's gotta be full, it's not stated, but it's implied by all permit requirements. that, do we have to modify page 7, item 14?
I think we put it in 42. just
Okay,
to-
what are we gonna say?
I don't, ran out of words.
New item 42.
Yeah, I wrote down bank
the-
account to be replenished to meet condition number 23.
The full bond amount,
Full surety.
yeah, no bond, full surety must be, provided to the town before you get a certificate to generate.
Is that gonna make any make it confusing? When they ask that, if you put that in there, will that make it confusing that they don't need that prior to get their building permit?
Well, what we're saying is, you need that prior to getting, cause that's clear, that's
Yeah.
condition number 23.
Right.
But if you guys spend money in the
Yeah.
middle,
Spend it
you
down.
need to bring it back up.
Okay.
Yep.
So do we
That-
wanna add if monies from the surety are spent during
No.
construction?
All we care about is a full bank account before they ship their first electron. Or at least that's my opinion.
Well, that's fine.
Can I read it?
Yep.
Can you do it in a funny accent?
Scottish.
She is a good addition to this meeting.
The full surety amount must be provided to the town prior to the issuance of a certificate to generate. The full surety amount as identified in condition number 23. There, no ambiguity.
Done. And anything else on page 10? I had one. Anybody else?
You get on?
Yep. It's under the special conditions. I read it earlier, but I'd like to see any and all submissions to any town of Hubbardston board or entity. We can use some general term for that, I just put that down. Shall be copied to the planning board consultant who will act as keeper of all records in order to review and report status of compliance to the planning board before issuance of certificate to generate. So if there's a condition that the Board of Health makes or the Concom makes, we wanna know it.
It goes in,
It can go anywhere, that's
Alright.
just something extra, we don't.
well, make it
add.
number 6 then, I
Maybe
guess.
number 6.
Now, are we making Bill do the status report, or are we making them do the status report?
No, any and all submissions. So if they submit something to the Conservation Commission, we wanna know about
Oh.
it, review it.
The
and-
whole town.
Right. And we wanna know, to make sure that its status doesn't affect any,
Yeah, the sum of the parts equals the whole, we're not
sure,
breaking off pieces.
right.
I don't really want the electrical inspector's submissions.
No,
And-
no, it says any and all submissions to any town, not from the town to them.
Yeah, so the electrical inspector is gonna require a certificate of conformance to the electric code stamped by a registered professional engineer, including detailed electrical drawings, load calculations, material specifications,
Alright,
and all that kinda stuff.
I remember how we did it
Yeah.
on Gardner Road. We
So-
said they have an obligation to give us the status of the electrical sign-offs, the plumbing sign-offs, the whatever, highway sign-offs, and report the status. And what they did was they wrote a couple exceptions. In other words, we got everything except the final this, and everything except the final that, which really couldn't happen until after they started to generate. Do you remember that?
I do, very much.
And so, why can't we do it that way? They have an obligation to report to you that they have gotten all the boxes checked by the electrical guy, all the boxes checked by the building inspector. Then you're not looking at every box, you're looking at a piece of paper with all the boxes
Well, I mean,
checked.
we're not qualified to look at the electrical engineering drawings.
No, but you can see if they checked all the boxes.
I don't even know what the boxes are. for
Well,
the-
the electrical guy does.
right?
Well, I guess, let me
Nonetheless.
make my intent clear here.
Permits,
I didn't even think of permits.
that's all I thought of.
Okay, I only wanted to know if there's anything that would affect their status. Let's say they apply,
Compliance.
compliance to conservation. Use the case in point when Seaboard had their issue with conservation. If you hadn't been consulted to conservation, we would not have known there was an issue on that site. So,
Yeah,
we did have input on that.
that's tough wording, that's all.
Huh?
That's tough wording.
Okay, well,
How about
I'm
the-
more than happy to reword it, that's what I wrote.
How about one more? The applicant must report full compliance with all town boards and commissions and offices, meaning the assessors and taxpayers and everything, when they apply for the certificate to generate. Instead of report, how about if they certify full compliance?
Similar to how we do in the building permit, where they have to get the tax sign off, the fire chief sign off, Concon.
So they already have to do that.
Yeah.
They have to get.
But that's for the building permit, this is for the certificate to generate. They think they're all done, they gotta tell you they're all done, they certify they're all done, and in compliance.
Actually, the building permit closeout was the last thing they got on Gardner Road.
Did they need it to generate, or did they generate earlier? That's what I thought.
No, they needed the electrical sign off in order to and your permission
And if
to
I
generate.
remember right, I think that's outside the building department, because I think that's between National Grid and I have a feeling that we're not even contacted at that point.
But
Well,
we
we-
want it to be.
I
We
don't know
wanted
how
to
we would work with National
Stick our
Grid.
hand in the breaker.
No,
So
we
that-
don't have to, we just tell the contract, we tell Borrego, these are the rules you're gonna play by and we're setting the rules.
Okay.
And if National Grid's given them a hassle and they aren't letting them connect because they didn't fill out the form right and they put a squiggle where they needed a dash, we just need to know that.
What do you recommend? Yeah, I mean, you know what we're trying to accomplish. We want compliance before we let them start making money. Otherwise, there's no turning back.
Yeah, the applicant must report the status of their compliance. The status of their
You don't like certified
to
compliance?
all issued permits.
Town issued, not planning board issued, or not just planning board issued.
Town issued permits. The
That
applicant
was
must
the big
report
point, right?
the status of their compliance to all town issued permits at the time of application to generate. Alright, so now they report, what's the result of that report? Do we need to say the planning board reserves the right? Cause you really kind of already do.
We already do, we're not gonna issue that certificate unless we're satisfied, and that is what we're trying to do. As I recall, that on Gardner Road, we gave them permission to electrify so they could test,
And they have to,
and they have to.
right?
But I don't recall how long after that the certificate to generate was issued.
I think it was a month and a half. Because they had to do the on-site tests, which didn't affect the grid and didn't affect their interconnect. But the certificate to generate affected National Grid and the building inspector and the electrical inspector, and it was quite a big deal. And we let them generate prior to full stabilization of the site.
We did.
Yeah, because of the time of year.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, well,
And again, that was your judgment.
Have they been signed off, has that been signed off on the Gardner Road project from the Conservation Commission?
Couldn't tell you. They didn't retain me to do that part of that project.
see, there's where,
This is.
there's where the submission for anything that they have done and give to town comes in as kind of a repository, so we have a summary of everything.
I checked the registry of deeds before I came tonight, they haven't removed their conservation, the DEP sign.
Order of conditions. Certificate of compliance, right?
Yeah, certificate of compliance.
Yeah.
So now we have, this project's been going for a year and a half, and they still have no certificate of compliance.
Yeah, they're gonna chase that down at the
Well-
time of closing. Cause it's a lien on the deed.
Right, but here they've been, you know, we were nice enough to give them a certificate to generate because of the time of year. And this seems to be a problem with Borrego. In general, they like to just do things and not do it according to what they're supposed to do.
They did come back this summer and hydroseed twice.
I don't disagree, but they, you know, they should have been able to get that certificate of compliance.
Our conservation commission's pretty easy to get a certificate of compliance from.
But they didn't.
Right. They have,
Just the same thing was when they started that project, they didn't do everything they were supposed to do.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I know
We
exactly
need-
what you are.
We need some type of list of what they have done, what they haven't done. Some place it's gotta sit.
I mean, I don't wanna be the one to sit there and say to them, we're not going to give them a license to generate until they have the certificate
well,
of compliance.
the applicant must report status of their compliance to all town-issued permits at the time of application to generate, which then they're reporting to you.
Well, they're reporting to you, and then you go out in the field and verify that their report is accurate. Oh, but wait a minute, you didn't paint the widgets. And you come back and you tell us, don't give them the certificate yet, because their report they need some more work to make this report true. That's the long story.
But I think what Ben is getting at too, you know.
I know what you get, it's
Yeah.
just hard to write.
Yeah, well, my problem with Borrego, my issue with them is that they say they're gonna do things and they don't do them, you know. Here we are, almost 2 years later, and they don't have a certificate of compliance.
Well, they
which-
do.
Well, you know, not yet. Not from the
Oh,
conservation.
from conservation,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
conservation.
They have, you're right.
Which is part of our special permit, they're supposed to have.
And I think that's my intention, is to have that total compilation, so we can then notify conservation and say, what's your status report on this? And we can notify the building permit, you know, whatever it may be, so we know where we stand before we put our stamp of approval on it.
And this would be in New 37, says
That-
prior to, upon completion of the system, but prior to energizing / operation.
You wanna go back there, or you
The
wanna put it on
applicant
the
must
special?
report the status of
Yeah, I think Ben's
compliance.
still right.
Yeah, it can go in that section as well as the special. No, but that's,
38, you mean, prior to energizing.
no,
Well,
I
it
don't want
needs-
energizing the system, I want prior to the issuance of the certificate of compliance, certificate to generate, I mean.
Which is this heading, upon completion of the system prior to energizing operation.
On the other page.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I mean, the header is just broke, not with the
Okay.
text.
as long
So
as
this
that's,
is prior to, you gotta do this as part of
okay, put it there,
certificate
that's
to-
fine.
Where is certificate to generate? It's not listed per se in here, or it's
I think
listed
it's
way back.
23.
No, it's listed, didn't we say it was 10?
7:14 or something.
Yeah, right. Cause what I wanna say is pursuant to,
You could actually cut that whole paragraph, right? 7:14 and just kinda add your conditions.
that, you know,
That's not bad.
all that one up front is boilerplate.
Well, it's a standard condition.
Yeah.
Why can't you just duplicate that?
Rather than duplicate it, I just wanna refer to it.
Oh,
Pursuant to
okay.
Well,
condition 14.
we want that, absolutely, but I am trying to get at, I get you, almost?
It's close.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to get at some place that it's gonna be a central reporting, so that one central reporter comes back to us. And not have them just say, yeah, we did it all. And I think Tom's right, you know, we need to have verify. Trust but verify. Who said that, Tom?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
What's the last one, Tom? Oh, no, his?
She got
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Senior
the
center.
Oh, the senior center.
I don't know if it's open, it might be.
And you're eligible.
Anybody want a cup?
No, thank
I
you.
was hoping you'd make some coffee.
The applicant must report the status of their compliance to all town-issued permits at the time of application to generate pursuant to condition number 10. The planning board agent shall conduct an on-site investigation after such report.
That doesn't include, is the bank full, is the,
Sure it does.
does?
It's
Town
an
issued
inclusive,
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's our permit,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's all inclusive.
Okay.
Good job. All right, and that's going under 43? Or is that going under, yeah, that'd be 43.
42.
I thought you added a 42.
We did honor it.
42 is the surety, so this
Oh,
is
yeah,
43.
sorry.
N-
43
new
is this one, okay,
43.
great. All right, anybody else got anything on page 10?
Sorry to be away so long, but I had to fix the flapper chain.
So these
Thanks
additional,
for sharing.
these additional special conditions are unique to this project.
Correct.
Is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Everything else is kinda,
Part of
the first
bylaw.
15, 16 is a restatement of the bylaw criteria, and it's the boilerplate, and then we go through pre-construction, during construction, prior to energizing. So 7.24, page 10, these, the 1 through 4 were our comments that they never accommodated in the plans. They never made the revision. That was we said they're close enough, but we still have a couple of small things.
Okay.
Number 5 was, I think that was a comment at the last public hearing about loam
That's right.
removal.
I think it's of any earthen materials.
I guess this will be May.
Where do we wanna put this other thing that we originally started on, the conversation?
Well, that one,
What's
Special
that?
conditions
Oh,
for
this
sale and
one.
transfer of project.
that should go way up front. Shouldn't that be boilerplate from now on?
For all projects, yeah.
Yeah. That should be 16, new 16.
Can you take that home and incorporate it properly, and we don't have to beat it to
I
death
had
tonight?
one addition to that.
What has it been?
Quid pro quo. Tom.
Gonna remove that question mark.
You see
He
that?
threw his hands up.
You see that semicolon on the third line?
The semicolon?
I'm kidding.
What's a semicolon?
You have a headache? I'm getting a headache.
She's never gonna miss another meeting.
What do you got? What do you got?
Under B number 3.
The question mark?
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah, so
there.
replace that question mark with, there shall be no release of funds without prior approval of the planning board. We could put it for any reason. And that would be directed towards anybody who has the authority to release any funds in town.
Well, but the people in town won't ever read this.
Well, then at least we covered our posterity.
Yeah, but what should we do to get him to read it. In other
We'll
words,
give a copy to the treasurer, have her attach it to the.
yeah, we should give copies to the Conservation Commission and,
Well, yeah,
Board of Health and,
Well, look
Tax
at the
collector
last
and-
sentence of number one,
number one on, What?
B one
Of which of the original?
of this
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Proof of transfer shall be provided by the town treasurer's office.
what's that mean?
that means they have to prove that they did it, that's fine, that's a record keeping. But they should not release any funds without our prior approval.
I agree with Viv, 100%.
I mean, that's the name of that tune.
I thought we wrote him a letter. I remember
We have,
attending a
we have
meeting.
sent that on file, but it doesn't seem to matter. I think
All right.
we've gone through at least one, maybe two other people, and now.
Well,
How about frame a poster?
Writing
Well, we
it,
should
writing
attach
it in
this
this
to-
permit won't make it. I think Patty ought to draft a letter to the accounting and the treasurer type people and say, this is the rule,
Right to
or
the town
the town administrator.
Absolutely. Well, that's fine. We can submit this to the town administrator, and at that point, I mean, we can't be responsible for their behavior, but we can be responsible for submitting.
Yeah, but
Or not.
it's a 20-page document. Why not write him a letter, one sentence letter and say, this is how it's gonna work?
This is the time to do it, because Tom and I are working with the accountant, but the next step is bringing in the guy who owns the company to meet with us next, Eric.
Yeah.
And I think this is the time to address all this, put them on notice.
Great.
and-
See, I'd like to have this attached to the file, in the file with the bank, where the bank, the money, where the money
Yeah.
gets located.
Yeah.
This is the agreement.
Yeah, part of the agreement.
It's like the deed or something.
But
Well,
that'll
we
be a-
could, I'll tell you what, we could put this in to this permit,
Has to be in this permit.
correct.
Yeah,
But there's nothing that says we cannot make a motion and vote for a general rule to be sent to the
It
people
would be,
that
it would be a operating procedure.
Policy.
policy from us.
well,
that-
that's what Patty and I have done, we wrote procedures
That's fine.
for.
So when we finish this discussion, we'll make that motion official so that now we'll have it, and then we can distribute that to everybody.
Could you bring those procedures to this meeting so we can all review them? No, I was only kidding.
Oh, boy.
I actually have them, I did bring
What would
them.
I want?
No, what have I done?
So,
You know what you're doing.
so basically, this is a contract between Borrego and the town, saying that you have granted them permission to do this project as long as you follow these rules, etc., and that you folks sign off and they have to sign off. That's basically what
Yep.
it is.
That's the
Just,
process called a special permit under zoning.
okay,
They cannot do this by right. They have to come to us
Okay.
and go through the process that we've gone through for the last year to get to this
Right.
point. And
Okay.
they can do nothing
right,
in this town without our
right,
seal of approval.
right.
Now,
But
what they
you
do with
basically
you,
know.
what they do
Yeah.
with you is between you and them,
Right,
okay?
right,
One more point. This is not, this is a document that lives over the 20-year or 25-year life of the
Right.
project. It's not just a construction document.
right, right. But it's basically, you folks have said, yes, we will agree to the permit as long as you abide by this.
The rules are
What-
followed.
Okay, that's what it is.
Now, it also, it protects the entire town
Right,
in the context of its zoning. And zoning is something that's adopted by all the people in town for their, protection of property rights and the rights that are guaranteed under law, you know, the right to quiet,
Natural resources, blah, blah, blah.
well,
It's our purpose.
quiet enjoyment,
right,
the right to dispose of property, all the rights under real estate. And it also protects the town to make sure that this huge project
yeah,
gets done correctly so that there's no abuse to the town and that the town's welfare is protected should in fact anything catastrophic occur
right,
that would then put the burden on you, that would then make your decision to not accept that burden and walk
Right.
away, hence the town gets stuck with it.
right,
So So that's, you know, it's kind of a
Right.
progression, and we hope nothing like this occurs.
Right,
But we've learned that if we make the provisions and make it known, this is what it is, people follow the rules.
right.
And that's an
Understood.
easier way to do it than try to go in and pick up the pieces.
It's so much
Sometimes they don't
easier.
follow the rules, though.
Well,
Yeah.
that's all we can do is, so,
Right, and you
right.
learn as you
Yeah.
go along
We
too,
make the rules,
what
if
you-
they follow it, that's great. We,
And if you don't write it down,
Oh, it's
you're
all in the
trouble.
yeah, gotta be in a contract.
Well, it's also, you're obligated by this document. So if they fail,
Okay.
if they fail,
Right,
and the land is left blank, denuded,
right,
while the town has money, they can go straight to you as the landowner and say, you will clean it up first, and we'll use our money second, because it's your land.
oh,
And the permit is issued on your land, so it's a lien on your land.
oh,
No
okay.
different than the Conservation Commission
Right.
permit is a lien on your land.
right,
Bill, doesn't this end up in the,
Registry of
registry of
Deeds.
deeds?
okay, okay. So even though so what we should do too, because I think in our contract, we specified that they had to, have funds to clean up, but we should be more specific, we'll have a amendment that they have to,
well, we
You-
can't,
you-
wait, we
Yeah.
can't make any of those recommendations to you. You
Right.
should consult your attorney
right,
to protect, so we don't
right,
wanna,
we'll have to
yeah.
go through our contract again before we look at making an amendment to it.
Competent legal counsel would be
We-
something you should have.
So we used Claire, but I can't, it's been such a long time ago.
Now, you use her name, I'm gonna have to bill her for a plug, yeah, you know that.
Good luck collecting.
But,
So,
yeah,
right.
she's
There's a lot of good
definitely-
ideas in here.
yes, yeah, I've been actually writing them, reading them
So-
on my phone.
Our obligation is to protect the town.
Right,
You being a member of the town, you know, we wholly want you to be protected as
Right.
well, but we can't subscribe or recommend to you any legal types of situations that you wanna
right,
enter into, so you have
Okay.
to seek your own counsel on it.
yep,
Because we've been told Bill is not a lawyer.
Who said?
And on several occasions, he's proven it.
And we don't want him to be a lawyer, cause he gets more expensive when he gets to be a lawyer.
How much did you see his bill?
that's for sure.
On
But-
this one?
Oh, well.
It's only been a year.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
Well,
This is not normal, this
Oh.
timeline.
And this has been, quite frankly, this has been our least contentious of most of the, facilities we've licensed. It just, there's been issues, but there hasn't been a lot of contention. It's gone
Right.
quite well, you know, nobody's had any adversarial situations develop in this
Yeah,
permit.
Well, just for the
I'd like
record,
to
a lot of these
compliment-
changes have been, a lot of this delays have not been, have anything to do with the
Exactly.
planning board.
Oh, no, there
A
hasn't
lot,
been
most
else.
of the delays have actually been with Borrego.
Correct.
Well, they asked for, 3 months extensions, 3 months in a row.
Oh, yeah, I'm not placing blame, but
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying
just don't want
that
people to
this is
think
just
it was
one of
easy.
those situations.
I'd also like to compliment you. I
Sure,
think
'cause I've-
as
I don't
the
have enough
project
paper in
turned out, you know, we went down there,
You
we
can
stumbled
recycle.
around your land and it's
Oh.
been I think a reasonable working relationship. And I'd like to compliment you on how it came out.
oh,
I think, you know, buried cables and those kind of things, they were helpful to accommodate the needs of the neighbors. And I think it
Okay.
worked.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we gotta get this thing
Yes,
done
well,
here. Page
farewell.
11 of 11, anybody else got
Okay.
any, Craig, did we spell your name right?
thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, so we're good. Anything else we need on 11 of 11?
Not that I'm aware of.
Dale, you spelled it right.
Dale, you got it right?
I know it's not.
I know that from his wife.
Okay.
Should I take Mark Demick's name off of here?
No, he's still the alternate.
Associate or alternate?
Associate member, I'm sorry.
Okay.
At the end of the year.
And Craig, we're gonna put after you, non-voting? you can sign it, but, it's
Yeah, you
just,
can.
it's an administrative
I know,
action.
But I'm not signing something, not voting on.
That's fine, but it's legal to do so, that's
Right.
all we're saying.
Got you.
Yeah, that's all. So Vince has asked me to send you an invoice for the difference of $4,000, which is what you got from Borrego,
Right,
and my bill that I just recently sent you, which is less than $4,000.
right,
So I'll make up that difference, that'll be represented for tonight's meeting,
okay,
and then you'll be able to clear the books.
right. And I think we were a little confused because weren't you gonna give a bill for future work that was expected
estimate.
and then, okay, an
Tom,
estimate, and then
say
we were
yours.
gonna take that to Borrego?
We,
No, that's the Sharpie
Yeah, I
that
do.
belongs to Vince. 'cause
I
that's
don't
what
do
you
it
needed
yet
for my life.
because
Well,
You-
there's one
when
there
this is
to-
finalized,
Oh,
now
it's not mine.
Yeah,
any
but that one
changes to the
matches those.
inspections
No,
or
but
any,
it's not
like,
mine.
they just
I'll give it
dump
to
a whole
Vince.
lot
You want
more
it?
on me.
keep 'em.
That's
Good.
good, job
Yeah.
security.
So, we're trying to get our handle on what, how much they pay us and how much you
What would we do,
bill
wait for
us.
his?
Oh, I can tell you that.
You could,
probably
that's
should.
why, could you give
Cause
us
it's pretty
a,
extensive changes.
Yeah.
just a
Did I send you this statement?
That statement there,
Oh.
Well,
Yes.
Oh, that's what you owe me, not what I've
Yeah,
billed,
that's-
if you
okay.
could send me a statement, Bill, of all the bills of this project.
Statement of account, okay,
Of the accounts, of all the bills of just this account,
yeah,
and,
cause
Yeah,
we
that's
just make sure all the checks coming in,
yeah.
we just wanna move.
and then we're
I
gonna,
understand.
we know what Borrego.
Do you want it for all of the ones that I've been working on?
Can you break them up by your project numbers that you showed me?
Yeah, oh, that would be
That'll-
really.
It's on the computer, it just,
See, what's happened is, because of a lot of the changes, people have been,
Residential.
we have this
addition
revolving account,
is
but
0.24%.
it's, sometimes it's used, sometimes it's not. Like, they said, oh, Borrego has
we're gonna bring it up tonight.
$110,000
and
in
then
their account,
paying
That's
from
what I'm
that,
talking
but, yeah, but they can't be doing
And
that, so.
enforcement.
right.
And they won't pay it because it's in the special, they can't. But from an accounting point of view, now we're in negative territory. So what we're gonna do is.
And I'm
any-
supposed to be in a 43G.
Ah, that's what that 43G
That's
is.
what we didn't know.
What is it? Oh, that's the account?
That is a very specific account that town
Sometimes
entities
sooner.
set up
Yeah.
to
If
pay
you-
consultants.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause we have a 43G,
We've asked
but we didn't know what it was for. 43G is,
43G, it keeps it out of the grubbing hands of
Oh.
but we have
big
to,
townwide government. It's very specific. It comes to the planning board and the planning board authorizes its release.
isn't that the revolving account? So, we're not-
43G is specific to consultants. And that's the Mass General Law.
Aren't you
Our
glad you
account-
asked?
Our accountant didn't know what that was either.
Bill, I have another question. We have gone
We
through
have
this
an account.
thing right down to the
I have the
colon.
file.
colon.
And the submittals.
And, there's another way of asking this question.
Don't lose the
This
name.
proves
Sign
that
it.
they're gonna comply with everything we care about.
To the extent that we were knowledgeable enough
Yeah.
to write it,
Oh,
yeah.
I gave you the original.
So then I drive by
I don't have one.
Gardner Road, and I say to myself, after having read the solar bylaw, and I don't have it right here. We only have one page of it, we don't
Oh,
have the
yeah,
next page of it.
I missed it.
But, I believe that it says, for all such projects, the wiring on the approach to the field from the road
Shall be underground.
should be underground.
And each and every one of them have said that the National Grid will not allow that.
Well, they've proven National Grid wrong on this one. This is underground from the first pole. Normally, there's
Three,
this is
three
the
three,
poles
four,
in a line
five, well,
for
four, I
interconnect.
think.
Yeah,
I have some photographs of other jobs. Here's 95 Williamsville.
Mhm.
There's the pole, and that pole has a big breaker on it. Then after that, it has the other equipment.
right.
They're putting that underground here, and they didn't put it underground on Gardner Road.
And they have asserted all along,
Well,
National Grid would not let them do that.
it's not true, because there's one in Barry that's also underground.
Wait till after the town.
The one right opposite, across the street from the, school there,
After
the,
town.
Because
Current
all
high
of
school.
them go three poles,
Sorry.
3 or 4 poles in, then they go underground.
my point is that they don't.
Is it?
The one across the street from the school in Barry, which I have a photograph of, but I can't find,
That's just the first
Um,
public notice.
is a single pole and then
We're gonna have to-
underground, just like the one on Williamsville Road. So my general question is,
Bill comes in, it goes to Ron.
yes, they're
Yes.
doing what we're asking them to do, or we're doing what we agreed to do.
$900.
But when you read the law,
didn't
Have
he tell you
we
this? Maybe I was supposed to. give you a
provided
message.
them exceptions to the law without
I thought
really
he said he
knowing it,
told you.
such as they
He-
should have been
he
underground and
paid
they
that
weren't.
bill out of their expense account.
I'm
Okay.
telling you
Not
what they
touch
told
that.
us, they
Okay.
asserted
So
that
No,
National
that's
Grid
just
was not.
one example.
Yeah.
But when you read the
Believe
law in
that.
its entirety,
This
and
is
there's
this
other
whole-
things,
This whole-
the telephone poles are supposed to be red.
this
You know,
whole
whatever the
process of
conditions
having
are
that
in our
working
law,
out here,
is there
a
some
lot
way
of
of
these
asking the
bills-
question, have they complied
How they go.
with the law? Or
Like
by
this one
approving this
here is
permit,
not
are we
the-
giving
this
them
isn't the revolving
granted
account.
exceptions and we're
So
not even aware of
these-
it?
Some of these should be
It's
in
summable.
5,700.
Well, can you
Not
read it?
in
When you're all done with this thing, can you read that? The law is only 4
So,
pages.
we're
Yeah.
working on that. So we're gonna get
Well,
all
when
these
we
changes
review it,
done, but
We
have
go
to-
line by
time
line,
you-
They
every,
said
every,
we
every
never spend
project
any
we
money in
review,
our
we go
account.
line by
We
line by
actually
line
do.
by line
Of the law.
of the
I don't know where
regulation,
we've been
right?
getting the money from.
Well, we missed underground back there.
No, we
We
didn't
all-
miss
We
it.
haven't really spent
They
anything
asserted
for
to
it,
us
I mean, other than.
that
Well-
they
Yeah,
were not
but-
allowed to do it that
Nobody's
I
way.
know,
gonna do
but
that
there's a bunch
anymore.
of them on here, Patty, remember?
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
like
that's
there's a,
good.
there's a bill.
Okay, good. Thank you for the help.
No, we go through every, like on the gravel pit, we go through every
Right. Bill,
line of
And
the
so the answer to
regulation.
your, the answer to my question is yes, it is full compliant with the law.
Yeah,
okay, Bill,
to the, and we know about the exceptions, like not being underground for the first 3 or 4 poles,
so you'll send me a.
Not in this case,
in all of them.
not in this case. We got one pole and it goes underground.
That may be a change for National Grid, I just don't know.
Can you send me an accounts of each of these projects?
Yeah, how far back? This one,
Let's just say
What
the
do you need?
fiscal year, so.
Actually, well, why don't we say this one and the other 2 Borregos, because we have to get the Borrego thing straight.
Gardner Road, this one, and New
That's
Westminster.
what was going on in the
Old
senior
Westminster.
center.
You have bills on that?
Should I make my motion?
Yeah.
Did they pay us
Not
money?
yet.
Did they give us money?
I got paid.
Did they give us good money for a consultant? Yes, please. Because if they did, and they gave us, what do we usually ask for, 2 or 3,000? I think it's 4,000.
Usually 4 to whack, but
Instead of this.
what I was discussing with Vince, that this thing was, Borrego has proven to us that they are not expeditious in doing these projects. So the next Borrego, like Old Westminster, I was gonna ask for 12,000.
Up front, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, to me, they've already given us 4,000 on Old Westminster Road.
yeah.
Okay, but you didn't spend nearly that much on that, did you? You didn't spend much on it.
Probably
I
haven't
have to
submitted the
verify
bill.
that though, I don't know
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
did,
know
and
we've got
you
a
guys
few
paid it.
trips and,
So we need to, see, this is the problem, the accountant was naming all these projects Borrego instead of instead of the street name, or
Right.
whatever, some other name. So Borrego has 4 accounts.
Borrego account.
4, no,
Yeah.
they have 1 account, Borrego, and has all these things in there.
Thank you, sir.
And there's
I-
no indication which
I have
project.
Borrego
Huh?
1,
Oh.
Gardner Road,
Oh,
Borrego
so
2,
far.
Williamsville Road, Borrego 3.
Do you write the name of the road?
Yeah.
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 See,
But
so,
that's how we work, cause I had you send me all those project numbers, so that,
so if you could send those to me, and then I'll find those accounts in there. But this 43G thing is new to me, so,
if you can go back to, last July 1st, that'll work, cause that'll be the full fiscal year, and that'll match up to what I've been working with the accountant
but he
with,
needs,
right?
the Borrego on Gardner Road was the year before that too, so do all the,
You want the history all the way back?
just Borrego, the 3 Borregos.
It's just a report,
Yeah, I
it's
know,
no big deal.
it doesn't matter.
I can go from the
So
beginning
this
of time,
33,
you know?
43G, does that refer to the Mass General Law?
Yeah.
43G, all
It's a
payments.
specialized consultant account so that you don't have any of the other headaches that you have with a normal disbursement or
Budget.
I'm not in the budget.
basically, I know, but we have a revolving account, which, that's not supposed to go, so the money we get, the 4,000 should go into this 43G account,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
That's different.
I think it went into our stamps account.
Don't touch that.
I
No,
buy
but
a
is
lot
it-
of stamps.
But this is, just so you know, this is why you have a problem
He doesn't have a problem, we have
there are
a
many other
problem, but-
reasons I have problems.
Yeah, but the problem you have about getting paid.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, what we're gonna do is set up a spreadsheet for each project, and any bill that comes in is gonna be logged, every bill that gets paid. So every meeting we have on a special condition, we'll have a copy of that spreadsheet, and we'll
Yeah.
say, this is how much money is left.
Right.
So we all know going forward.
We're gonna add a financial report to every agenda item, just to touch
Well,
base.
just for the special condition, special.
Alright.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good addition.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good. Last but not least, I have noticed public hearings for our zoning bylaws that we have to have for May 30th, 2018, 7 p.m. in the Senior Center. We'll be taking testimony on the Article 18 wireless communication facility, Article 20 use of large-scale solar photovoltaic installations. We're adding a new Article 22 for commercial marijuana establishments. We're amending zoning bylaws for Article 2 definitions and Article 4 use regulations to reflect the potential adoption of Article 22. These will be advertised the 14th and the 21st of May in the Gardner News, and we'll see you all on the 30th,
What time?
7 p.m.
What I'll do is I'll send you guys a copy of the public notice with the date and the.
Please.
And at that, I have nothing further except one thing. To entertain a motion. I have to prompt that?
To adjourn, I make such a motion.
All in favor?
Wait a
Is there
minute,
a
you have to
second?
say goodnight, goodnight wherever you are, Mrs. Callaghan.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
I'll second it. I'll third it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So voted. As you said, good night,
Patty,
Mrs.